They don't count down or nothing.
Huh?
So you didn't even give us a countdown.
I just had to go, bro. All right, so what we're going to do here, we got to start this with the official intro.
Yeah.
So this is Mass and None Podcast, episode 278.
278.
278, and today's a special day. Special day, right, Berto?
Yes. Special. Very special. I'd agree.
It's a special day. Now, we have had a handful of guests that have come back multiple times. It's only a few, and it's only a few because they've been invited back, and it's a special thing. So we did do a previous episode with our current guest up in the Cape, and it was a while back.
Remote style.
Remote style. 2 years. And it was 2 years. Wow. 2 years ago. Look at that. Yep. That's the time, dude. It flies. And we are blessed to have a businessman, a CEO, a leader, a person that has started restaurants, consulted restaurants, and now has written a book. And it will be coming out shortly. And I'm proud, as a person possibly could be, that this man is my cousin. I consider him a mentor. I consider him somebody I look up to. And he's with us live in studio, Mike Martir.
Wow.
Say what's up, man.
Wow, thank you. What an introduction.
Love this
coming.
guy.
Thank you. Thank you, Berto. Thank you.
Yeah. Man, that's a lot of hats.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, hard to, yeah.
Do you think back author title is like, man, I wore a lot of hats.
it is a lot of hats.
Yeah, I don't know. 6 restaurants is enough hats.
Yeah.
Then why not stop? Why not
Yes.
stop at that point, right?
Yes.
The guy's a go-getter. He doesn't,
Yeah.
he doesn't, there's no stopping the guy. I worked with the guy. There's no stopping this guy. I wake up, think I'm up early. He's gone.
Yeah.
He's not in the house. He's gone. Like I'm not kidding.
Those are some crazy days.
Yeah, I think I'm up before the world. I'm like, oh man, get an early jump on the day. This guy's gone. Coffee's drank, you know.
I'm never up before my wife, though.
No, she is up first, feeding the chickens, you know, taking care of things.
You must be going to bed early too then.
No.
No, Daddy, he's up with me.
Jeez.
He's up with me, but he's gone before the sun. That's just kind of the way it is. But yeah, I'm super excited for this book because this is a new chapter.
Yeah.
A book. Do we talk about the media concepts
You can. It's
that
your
are?
podcast.
Yeah, give us a real not just us, because we probably have a better understanding because we were able to do a little bit of research, but give the listener out there a brief synopsis about the book, and that's going to kind of explain a little bit. That's going to explain yourself too.
Yeah. Yeah. So the book's title is Managing the Wolves Leading from the Heart. And it's basically a compilation of next year I'll be 26, I'll be 40 years in the hospitality business. So I currently have 6 restaurants with, I have obviously partners. We employ almost 200 people. The book is basically a leadership style book about, it has some, obviously clearly it's based on my experience. Its depth is about culture, which can go across any business really, employee culture. That's kind of the heart of it. And it's coming out hopefully in the next 10 days.
In the next 10 days.
Whoa, I didn't know it was that soon.
Yeah.
In the next 10 days. And wow, and your approach to culture is, I would say significantly different than the environments that you worked in, right? I know that's like from my perspective, it seems like, one of the things that you drew out throughout, what we read, like the differences,
Sure.
right? Between what you went through and now what you're doing yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, coming up early on in this business. First of all, full disclosure, you guys had some access to read some of the chapters, so it's important for everyone to know that. But yeah, coming up early on, there was the culture within the kitchen was pretty rough. It was very demanding. Forget about HR. That wasn't really a thing back then. and you really had to be committed to succeed. And so fast forward to today, clearly it's very different.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important. Some of the same concepts still apply today, which I talk about in my book, but the same rules still apply.
Now, and obviously, I don't want to give away too much of what's in the book, but I know we're talking about culture right now. Do you think that some of the necessary culture changes that you found throughout your career, while from working in the industry to being like owner operator, do you think that those are changes in society that kind of made things necessary to change at the workplace? Or do you think that that's how it should have been from the beginning?
No, that's a fair question. I mean, no, I don't think that how restaurants were run in 1980 are relevant today. I mean, clearly there's a technology advancement that we have to address. And there's a generational difference. And I don't say that in a demeaning, diluting way. Like, I'm not saying that, Gen Z doesn't want to work, or boomers. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there's a definitive difference between then and now.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of opposing forces that have caused that. Clearly how we get our food, accessibility to different types of food, the change in different cuisines that have become explosive over decades, and have become much more authentic, where in 80s, 90s, early 2000s, there were lots of gimmicky things that were labeled as authentic. So I think there's a lot of changes that happened, opposing forces in some instances, that we have part of that culture. There are definitely still definitive concepts that are relevant today. Just how we approach them with different age groups is what's become complicated.
Okay, now
Is that fair?
Yeah. I actually have a question about that. Like, because I have we were talking off air prior about that video that I saw that was talking about in the healthcare practice that there was a high mortality rate and a certain transfer point in this specific hospital that was talked about online, and they couldn't figure out what was going on, like why patients. It was after surgical procedures. There were real declines in outcomes from transferring the patient there. Nobody could figure it out. Nobody clinical, nobody. And then somebody was home and was watching a NASCAR race that was involved in the admin spectrum of this particular facility. And they see how the pit crew is operating and how the pit crew just knocks out this, changes all four tires, gasses the car up in a matter of a second or two. So they had an idea to have this person come and watch and kind of consult on that process and see what they could figure out that was wrong. So because of things like that and that outside of the box thinking, there are people in healthcare that are willing to see, or take advice from outside resources, kind of third parties that aren't necessarily directly involved in the healthcare process. So you say, dealing with, kind of age differences, right?
Sure.
So there's a challenge in a lot of industries, especially now with the age discrepancy. You have somebody that's trying to lead people that are middle-aged, people in their 50s that, kind of set in their ways, have their expertise in certain areas. And then you have these new people coming in that are 20 years old. So it's like leading those kind of, people with that large of a age gap.
Sure.
Are there any tips or any kind of, anything that's related to culture in a workplace that would benefit that process?
Yeah, I think there's two things you have to look at in that instance, right? So one is, regardless of whether the age, is if that person is committed to excellence, right? So to operate at a very high level cuisine in a very intense pressure environment, right? That person has to be committed to be excellent, committed to be the best. And then there's not a one size fits all based on age, right? Some older employees, you might use them in a mentorship role. Some younger employees, you might be a little more transparent to explain to them why decisions are made. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there's a classic Nick Saban video going around that I love, and it's the truth, is that mediocre people do not want to work with high level performers, and high level performers don't want to work with mediocre people.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure that you can drill down in that instance. Now, there needs to be SOPs and obviously systems in place. and even efficiency of movement, stuff in the kitchen that is all trainable. But at the end of the day, that person in that station, or in that particular instance in healthcare, they have to own what they do and operate at a very high level.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, in my industry, that's the difference between a mediocre experience and a high level experience, right? It all comes down to the worker and the culture. If you set the expectation at a certain level, you don't have to beat them, you browbeat them, right? The expectation is the expectation. So if you don't meet the expectation, or you don't execute the expectation, you're very upfront and transparent about what would happen if you don't, right? So like, however you want to do this, you coach and counsel them, you write them up, you terminate. However the separation process works in whatever business, it has to start right when you're doing the interview, right when they start, that the expectation level is here, and they're either trying to meet that or exceed that expectation level. And not everybody is able to do that.
Yeah.
I think most complaints in healthcare, and I don't mean to interrupt. Most complaints in healthcare at any job, really, if you drill down to it, it's like that guy or girl doesn't really care. They're just hitting 8 in the gate. They're just punching in and punching out.
Yeah.
And again, so to me, that falls back like, do you really want to operate at a high level? No matter whether you're sweeping the floors or whether you're the brain surgeon.
Yeah.
Right?
See, I feel like that's one of the biggest challenges, is kind of weeding out those people, or identifying those people that are committed to excellence in the interview process, right? It's, how do you go about, because I'm looking at this, I've never been, a business owner. I've never operated at that level of leadership. So when I think about it, I'm looking at it from an employee perspective, right?
Sure.
Even when I was looking over the book and going through it, my perspective is that of an employee. So I'm looking at it like, what kind of leader do I want?
Sure.
What kind of leader do I want to be, of course, but in my role. But what kind of leader do I look for? And everything that you were hitting makes perfect sense to me. So then I think, how do you go about drilling it down to that person that you want? That employee that you think is going to be committed to excellence from the beginning, and not make that mistake of onboarding people that are then going to not perform.
Well, it always starts at the interview process. I mean, can you get fooled?
Yeah,
of course. Of course you can. Part of the old way of managing employees is like, you would work for 12 months and then you would have your review, and then maybe you would get your bonus.
Yeah.
Right? So what we do is, right out of the gate, when we do the interview, let's say you've gone through a few stages and you're about to get hired. And I'm not talking about a line level employee. I'm talking about like a high level, a leadership role that's going to lead other people. We give them a individualized performance plan that's typically broken down into 5 or 6 categories, that has a weighted percentage of what your bonus would be. And I always say to those people during the interview is, your bonus, your performance plan, half of it belongs to me, because how can I tell you how I want you to perform if I don't coach and counsel you along the way? Right? So at the end of the year, you could have done 8 months of terrible work and 2 months of fantastic work in the current status, and you'd be like a rock star. Or you could have done 8 months of awesome work and the last 2 months of terrible work, and you're terrible. Yeah. That's the old way of managing, right? So we're a little bit different when we do something like that. So we have monthlies and quarterlies where we're sitting down with leadership, and in those categories, obviously it drills down to the employee level. There are obviously some profitability categories, margin, things that are important from a business perspective, because those things, as much as I'd love to talk about culture, and it's important, the business aspect are necessities.
Yeah.
Right? So like in business, the ultimate signal is success in business.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to get out, like running a marathon. Right? Sure. So within that category of success, right, there's margins and there's financial disciplines that need to be followed, and you have to, understand those things. But you can't do that alone. Right? You need everyone else, which goes back to the culture of relationships, right? So if if someone comes up to you like, hey, we're just talking about feelings and the relationship, we're not talking about the business, that's like Hallmark Channel stuff. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What I am saying is like, of course, you have to be fiscally responsible. You're running a business. In my case, there's a lot of zeros after those businesses, right? And I have a lot of responsibilities to those people in charge. But the other side of that coin is if you don't lay out a pathway to show them how to succeed, why would they stay?
Do you think that utilizing this methodology, you could take one of these employees that you would categorize as mediocre and make them somebody who's, at that next level, and you might not be able to make them a go-getter or change their character, but do you think that utilizing this methodology, this can make somebody mediocre and take them to the next level? Or do you think that there's no room because you also need them to complete their 50% and an employee who's mediocre may not want to, achieve that completion of 50% of their end of the bargain?
Well,
or maybe possibly incapable of.
Yeah. There's two ways to look at that. One is, and I've said this in the book, like the most important ingredient in the kitchen is effort. So if they're really trying and they just need your extra attention to level up, you have to make a decision if you have the time to do that, right? If they're mediocre and that's just like they're just shuffling along and doing that, typically they're weeded out by the other employees. You don't have to do it. Like I said, high-level performers don't want to work with mediocre people.
Yeah.
And in kitchens, they'll make sure you know.
Yeah.
Right? Hence the reference to managing the wolves, right? So you manage a kitchen, I call them the wolves because it's like dogs. You walk in, they're sniffing each other, they're checking you out, they're seeing how you set up your stuff. You don't even know what they're doing, right? They're just checking it. And you'll feel uncomfortable if you don't want to put the effort that everyone else is putting in. It's really no different than any high-level sport to me.
That is exactly what I was thinking. It's like, you don't really want to be on the court. I don't care if you're playing a pickup game. Nobody wants that guy that doesn't want to really try on their team. Yeah. I know I don't. Get out of here. I'm not going. If I'm at the park, I don't want you on my team, dude.
For
sure.
No different.
That's a great analogy. I love that.
Yeah, but so it sounds like this all starts on that onboarding process, right?
Absolutely.
That's the key to this, onboarding the appropriate resources. And I can imagine it'd be difficult, right? Because like we said, during interviews, you're going to be on your best behavior. You're going to embellish your abilities and your how hard you're willing to work, or maybe I'm the only one going into interviews BSing a little bit.
No, it's like a first date.
Yeah.
You're gonna clean your car. You're gonna iron your shirt. Yeah. You're gonna do all that stuff that you would typically do. By the 10th or 12th date, you might have a couple water bottles in your backseat.
Right.
That's just that's just how it is.
But I guess you're saying those guys weed themselves out, right? Like the individuals who perform very well their first 90 days. That when you get that probationary period.
You'll know it before that. You'll know it in 21 days.
Yeah. If you're engaged as a leader, if you're paying attention.
I'm not saying leadership. I'm
wolves.
saying the wolves will take care of that.
Oh yeah, they'll know. I think it takes leadership a little bit longer to catch up. So, we talked about this a little bit off air too. But do you believe that there's a correlation with like that cutthroat methodology of managing a resource and the high level of success that some of these institutions that you've been associated with have achieved?
Well, the short answer is yes, but I preface that by saying that was a different time period for me.
Yeah.
Right. So coming up, it was just a different culture. Mm-hmm. So, I was already intense and going to succeed. There was no fallback position for me.
Yeah.
Right. So I think today, if you're transparent and you communicate properly the expectation that you want for them to succeed within your organization, and it has to be something beyond the transactional experience, right? It can't just be, the Peter Drucker management of the 70s where you do this, I pay you, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? So like, there are definitely people that will roll their eyes that are probably watching that have worked for me, and they know because I've said this a million times. Like nobody cares what you know until they know you care. So like you should know what their hobbies are. You should know they have 2 kids. You should know when their soccer game is, when their baseball game is. You should be engaged with an employee that way. And then once they feel that, you get a little extra from them. It's not so transactional.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They belong to something.
as opposed to like the common methodology where you hear like capitalism defined as, you know, the farmer who owns the farm, and then the guys who work on the farm do the most work on the farm, but the guy who owns the farm, reaps the most reward and
Right.
doesn't necessarily have this relationship with the farm workers.
Right.
He's more concerned about, you know, how much they bring in, and if anybody underperforms, then they just easily replaceable.
Yep.
It reminds me, I think we touched on it on the first episode that you were on, was when you talk about getting to know them and stuff like that. I know you used to do that employee of the month thing at the doghouse, which I thought was incredible because, we've all been part of companies that just, employee of the month, they'll just like give you branded gear. Yeah. Branded for the company, just give you a lunchbox,
swag bags,
$5 for Dunkin' or something like that. But you being in there and making sure that you took the time to work with the guys, even when you were at the leadership, level of the group, the restaurant group, you took a day a week at least that I witnessed with my own eyes to just be like, okay, I'm not running operations today per se, even though I am, even though you were. But you would get in the kitchen and work with the guys for like a 16-hour day, 10-hour day, whatever it is, and just be in the kitchen sweating with a pencil on your ear.
Gangster.
I watched it with my own eyes, dude. So I know that, how important just being in there in the trenches with the guys is and how effective it can be. So in those times when you're in those trenches, you get to hear what they're talking about. You see what they're going through. So when that employee of the month opportunity comes up, you are getting them things that made sense.
Were relevant to them and individualized
gifts that they earned. And it was like a 360 thing, right? It was like,
so every manager got a vote. And then, every manager nominated and every employee got a vote. So if you actually won, that meant your fellow workers were saying you were the best employee.
Oh, wow. So the managers and your employee and your peers.
Yeah. So there was like, it was almost like there was a primary election. Right. And then there was like.
Yeah, they wrote the name. The managers wrote 2 or 3 names or 4 names. And then everybody got 1 slash. And you count them up and.
Whoa, yeah.
And then they were getting gifts. Like, do you have some examples of some of the things that you got for some of the guys?
Yeah. Were you there when we gave Danny that electric bike?
No.
He didn't have a car, so we bought him an electric bike.
No. See, I wasn't.
Sweet.
We got.
I remember something with the golf clubs, right? It was like.
Golf clubs. VR goggles for the gamer.
VR goggles and stuff, like real gifts that they were aware that people were into, and hobbies and things like that. I mean, that it speaks volumes. It makes you feel, seen, for lack of I know that's so soft. When I'm saying like, God, I feel seen, but
and it's not completely transferable. Like, hey man, somebody could be a single mom with 5 kids and she wants bank.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you would know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You would know that.
Yeah.
So if you were interacting with that employee, you'd know that.
You know it.
It's I wanted to in the book or in the portions that me and Justin and I were able to read in advance. You talked about setting yourself up and kind of having questions and having the resource or the employee also have expectations for themselves as well. Like there was a list of questions and I had it down on my phone and I don't have it on my notes in front of me.
It's all right. We're not live or anything.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like we're live.
No worries.
But it's important also, like you mentioned this earlier about the person wanting to succeed. So they should also have that same desire.
Yeah, I think you are responsible, right? So I think leadership to me, it doesn't mean you're in charge of people. It just means you're responsible for the people in your charge.
Okay.
Right. So you have the courage to go first. So you need to engage and identify those people and then help them succeed.
Yeah.
Which requires much more effort on your part to lead properly. But I mean, honestly, who would you rather work for?
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
So, we talked about it earlier. You talk about it in the book. That's not how you grew up in this business, right? So at what point within the business, and like I said, I don't want to give too much away from what we read, but at what point in your career do you have this thought process? Is this later in your career? Is this while are you consulting at this point? At what point do you say to yourself, like, man, and is this even how it happened? Like, man, this isn't the way we should be getting this done.
Yeah, I think it happened slowly over time. Like you try different things. There was no real blueprint for this other than experience. I was experiencing really good employees leaving. So I knew that the old guard approach that I came up in was not going to work. So then as I tried to manipulate my management style, thinking I was doing it better, there were in the book, there were some of them that it still didn't work.
Yeah.
And then some that will. Over time, it becomes like, you have to reinvent yourself. It's very uncomfortable, right? You're fighting against, the nature nurture thing, right? You raised a certain way, you come up a certain way, and then you're trying to reinvent yourself to be this person that's not soft necessarily, but is able to hold people accountable and help them grow to be successful. And so in my instance, it was very uncomfortable. It was like really trying to peel back an onion and put it back together, a shallot. You know what I mean? Like it made no sense sometimes. But then after a while, you start to see it working changing, life is going on, you're having kids and you're married and you're trying to be a parent and there's so many variables happening that, it takes some effort to do. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying you just have to be able to try to do it.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so difficult, right? Because the biggest thing is the change. Because sometimes when people grow up a certain way or find success by putting in a certain amount of work, the expectation is that the next person should have to put in even more work. It's like, it wasn't easy for me, man. It's not going to be easy. This is the way it is. It's difficult.
The narcissistic view.
Yeah.
Totally.
But that's the society that most of us live in.
Yeah.
We're not all, lucky enough. A lot of us work for major companies where this level of connection is difficult for, a major corporation. It might be, and there's no incentive for middle management that work for this company to develop that kind of relationship because the retention doesn't necessarily affect them the same way because they're a part of like this major machine.
This is a great part. So like JP Morgan, Amazon, really like it doesn't matter the size because ultimately when you filter it down, you have the person in charge, right? Regional, whatever you want to call it, in charge of the plant, however it does, right? You have that person. Then you have the workers, the actual ones doing the actual work. But then beyond that, you have all those relationships that those people are experiencing, right? Their relationships, vendors, customers, with each other, right? So if that culture doesn't go through your company, no matter how big it is, eventually you're just going to be fixing problems.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's amazed, right? Jeff Bezos is on his boat and building rockets and boxes still keep coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They still keep coming. So
Yeah.
you can't tell me that it doesn't necessarily work within a bit. I don't know the structure within, but I have to assume that outside of a wage, there has to be an upside benefit to that person that they're there.
Well, Amazon's a perfect example because they have like they don't necessarily have the best relationship with their employees, hence why all like the all the recent unionization talk within Amazon and stuff like that. And that's where I think that I would believe it would be difficult, right? Because of the big gap between Bezos.
What is unions really focused, right? It's wage focused.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a transactional piece that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
They're not forming a union because they're not having pizza every Friday.
No.
Oh, yeah. So let's identify the problem for what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but some business, I've heard theories that additional money does not create additional satisfaction nor results in more work being done.
1,000%.
So giving a resource more money, which honestly, in my mind, when I was listening to this, it was like I'm like, dude, if you give me more money, you'll get more out of me. But they've proven that providing a resource with more money does not result in more work or higher productivity.
I can assure you that in my career, I've had the job that paid me ridiculous amount of money, ridiculous. And like 9 months, I pretty much wanted to kill myself. So
Yeah.
there is no correlation to financial gain. As much as everybody watching is like, yo, pay me $1 million, and I'll do, you'll say that.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
talk to me in 8 or 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest. You know me.
I know Justin is no nonsense.
You know me. You know me.
And Justin, if the coffee's not hot when he gets to the office,
Listen.
he's fucking out the door.
No, I'll tell you right now. There was, probably the
Well,
highest.
he worked with me, so he's seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it firsthand. Like probably the highest paying job I've had was the most miserable that I ever was. And you know this as well. I took a pay cut and ended up having to get 2 jobs, that both treated me better, filled my cup, instead of having one that paid me slightly more than these 2 jobs are paying me, to work there. And it was the most miserable I ever was. You want to talk about, wanting to, I found myself every lunch break looking at how high the building was. And I was like,
He would find things to be pissed about that were completely unrelated to this, but I knew it was the job. He'd be like, and these fucking road workers, dude, they're always patching the fucking street, dude.
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, oh, it's nothing to do with the road workers. This is the job. But kind of to go back to what I was saying, and the point that I was trying to, or more question that I had was, I would imagine to be difficult because it's like a game of telephone with a company that large, right? The guy at the top is saying, we have to develop a culture within our company, treat people appropriately, retain good employees. And then the next guy is saying, we got to treat our people good, retain our employees. Then the guy beneath him is like, we got to retain our employees. And the guy underneath him is like, and the message gets diluted as it goes down, which is where we get to the guy on the floor of Amazon. Not that that's the bottom of the rung. I'm just using it as an example. But the guy who's packing the boxes at Amazon, although that might be the company mantra, I feel like in large companies, it'd be a little more difficult simply because of the dilution of that message as you go down the management structure. Possibly, I don't know. It's more of a question.
Yeah, and it sounds like if we were sitting in an actual meeting, and you were like, "Hey, I'm in charge of this segment, and this is what's happening," and I would immediately identify it as a trust issue. The guy on the floor does not trust the manager. The manager does not trust the head of HR. HR does not trust COO. COO will say whatever the CEO says, so the target is off him onto the next person, right? So if you just are running off of metrics, if you're the leader that's just running off of metrics because I'll use healthcare as a dummy right now, right? So you're a chief operating officer, and your bonus is based on, executing a financial plan that produces 5% more margin than the previous year. Margin, meaning profitability, right? Contribution margin. You have a top line revenue growth stature. You have maybe you have something written in there for yourself, meaning like, hey, you need to do these following, credits to maintain whatever license you have, right?
Okay.
And then like the 5th one is like, less than 3% exiting of
like turnover.
charge nurses. I'm just making it up, like a mid-level manager, right? So like in your mind, as long as you hit 3 of those 4, you're going to get a check.
Yeah.
Or 2 of those 4, you're going to get something. And if you're making $250, typically that's like 5 or 10% of your salary is normal. What you get, some of them are more. Don't get me wrong. I'm just using basic metrics. So your entire way that you lead and manage people is metric based, right? You're checking numbers every week. You're checking numbers every day. You're checking billing. You're making sure that X amount of bills are getting sent out and getting executed. You're getting paid. And you're just so hyped up on metrics because it's super easy to do.
Yeah.
It's super easy to manage metrics, right? You go to the CFO, tell me where we're at as compared to last year. You can pull that metric. Last year in July, we were at 3.2 million. This month, we're at 3.3 million. You're like, yes, growth is there.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, give me the margins. It's an email sent to you. The margins are here. Easy. The hard one is the people one, right? You got to get dirty.
Yeah, well, those are the ones that they don't have to report to their stakeholders at the end of the quarter, right? And that's why I think that those are the ones that kind of fall off on the wayside for some of these institutions.
A stakeholder, right? the only responsibility of a CEO is for the stakeholder, right? I'm talking about a little level below that, was to your point. So like a COO is below that, HR is below that, CFO is below that. But a CEO, his main thing is just stakeholder.
Okay, so the rest of the team should be focused on, the actual company.
They still need to apply those. They still need those metrics to get executed.
Yeah.
But you're now on process instead of people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's you forget that these are people. You're just focused on metrics, and the people, the guy with the sick grandmother or something like that, or the girl whose kid doesn't. She's trying to make the house.
How fast can we turn the beds? How fast can we turn? It's no different than a restaurant.
Boy,
How
do I know
fast can we
that.
turn the seats?
Yeah.
Right, we need to turn the seats.
Yeah,
Like I can do the math in my head because it's my business, right? To do $1 million a year in 300 days, it's $3,000. That's $900,000, right? So add the extra 30 days, right? You're at $1 million. Right, so if we're not doing $3,000 a day,
Not making $1 million, yeah.
we got to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Right, but if the experience to the customer is better and the word gets out and it starts trending and people start coming, then by default you're achieving that daily revenue piece, right? That's my argument.
yeah. It's like, okay, you maybe early on by laying this foundation, you're not making $3,000 a day, but maybe you're making $1,500, $2,000 a day, but then you're making $4,000 a day.
We proved this concept.
Yeah,
You saw it.
I saw it with my eyes.
Yeah.
I lived it. Yeah.
I mean,
So-
we tripled the revenue of a restaurant.
Tripled.
Every year we doubled it. And then it was 3 times the amount by year 4 times the amount. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And you're doing this from within.
From within. We haven't changed the prices in 5 years.
Yeah,
Same
5
price,
years. 5 years.
Same margin.
Similar menu, couple extra specials and stuff
Pretty
here
much
and there.
the same menu. The only thing that's technically changed probably has been the actual proteins and stuff like that. But we still didn't pass that on to the consumer because we were like, oh, we'll make it up with volume. Right? So then we got, and the team, they're watching. What camera? Is this camera on? You know who you are.
You're right over there.
This camera.
Yes.
You guys are watching right now. You know what I'm talking about. Like we made it so efficient there that there were days that there's a couple of people watching that have worked there a long time. They know what the most we could do in one day. And then we were smashing it and smashing the number to the point where it was almost ridiculous. And because we made it super efficient, similar to the NASCAR, right? We made it super
similar.
efficient, super easy. We gave them the expectation. We didn't expect them to do everything, right? We gave them the responsibility, and we pay appropriately.
Yeah.
Like it's a very simple equation to us. The more you do, the more you get.
Yeah.
If you have to ask for a raise, there's already a problem.
So you think that the success that comes from the methodology, you think that some of these things kind of fall into place? Like I'll use specifically, like, we talked about hospitality earlier, and one of the components of hospitality may be or is directly like the way, whether it's the way somebody's greeted or the way the client's treated when they come in. Do you think that some of these things kind of fall into place by having this kind of employee relationship?
Absolutely.
Because-
and once you give them the expectation,
Yes,
you
I was
don't
just
make
gonna
it
say that.
personal. You don't say like, this is how Mike wants it.
Yeah.
You say, this is the way it's done here.
Yeah.
This is the expectation.
Yeah. I mean, I watched you, the whole thing was like, this is the culture of this place. So if one day I'm not here, it continues on this way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's which happened. That's how people were trained. This is the culture of this restaurant. This is the way that we do things. This is how we treat our customers. This is the way that we make food. This is the time we expect things to be put out. This is
Everything.
it. Yeah.
And I tell them, like, my wife told them, I tell them, like, I'm immensely proud of everything any of the workers have ever done. Ridiculously proud. Like, I will go to bat for them. They know I will fight for them. They also know I will fight with them. Right? But they, their ability to execute all of the locations, is a testament to their belief. Right?
Yeah.
So
It's something to see, man. It's really something to see because, I watched during the whole pandemic and all that, how so many businesses were struggling with hanging on to employees, getting people to work there, possibly feeling like they had to close their doors, things like that for, shortening their season. And a lot of it was related to, after that, just having people work there, having people want to be there. And I watched that you had more applications than you could take.
Yeah, like 300 applications, like ridiculous.
There were restaurant owners and business owners that were contemplating, if not actually closing their doors because they couldn't get people to work there, and he was turning people away.
Wow.
So it's like, that's crazy.
Crazy.
I
think the pandemic exacerbated what happens day to day in most restaurants.
I think most places, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So, yeah.
the pricing changed. Sure, it changed more rapidly than some could keep up with, but that happens all the time. Employees quit. You're hiring people. Like, customers aren't coming. Customers are coming. Like, it's the same that happens every day. It just was like times 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to adapt. The pandemic was a time where places had to adapt immediately.
Yeah.
You have to find ways to not having a place where you're used to people probably coming through the door, and then now having to completely change that is probably one of the biggest things.
Totally.
Right? People coming to us. Now we got to figure out how to get to them. What were some of the strategic changes that you made during the pandemic that made you so successful through the pandemic?
Online ordering.
Yep.
Drinks to go. Like, we immediately started doing fun branded things. My wife started putting frosé in bags that look like
Capri Suns. Yeah.
Okay.
The frosé crushed.
Yeah. It still crushes.
Yeah, it's still crushed. And because it was to go, now it's down the street from a beach.
Right.
So you had people showing up with their cooler.
Oh, yeah, ridiculous.
Buying a bunch of frosé to go, it was like rosé Slurpees.
We got handhelds. We were sending, the young ladies to the car to take the order. You didn't have to get out of your car.
Nice.
Like, we did whatever it took, like, within reason. Like, we did whatever it took to make the guests still want, because the guests still wanted to go out. Yeah. Right. They didn't know what they were doing, so there was other issues that we don't have to get into here, but for the most part, we adapted. That was a huge one, to go pick up curbside. That hadn't happened there before at one of these businesses. We tweaked out the hours, because people, that's still feeling it today. People went home. They don't come out later. So, like, everyone who used to be open at 10:30 or 11, when there was no one there for 2 hours, they're like, hey, maybe we should close at 9:30. We did that right away. We just closed at 7.
Yeah.
Close at 8 or whatever we did.
I think it also helped that, you have all outdoor seating.
It did, yeah.
At that particular location.
They still made us move it 4 feet apart, but we don't have to get into all that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The last thing I'll say about the pandemic is, in the state of Massachusetts, right, the only other industry larger than the hospitality industry that employs people is the government. And we had the strictest rules. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Interesting time, but sounds like through your guys pivots, you didn't just survive, you thrived.
Totally.
Yeah. It makes me I've been wanting to ask about this because because with these kind of businesses and with hospitality and stuff like that, there's always this kind of this situation where you have people like to complain. Right. And hospitality is a difficult industry sometimes to deal with people that complain.
I haven't seen any doctors on Yelp yet.
No.
But you let me know.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, people always feel so motivated to complain about certain things if they have an experience that they're not a fan of or something. But something over the past, I'd probably say, how long has social media really been exploded like this? Like a decade at least. I'd probably say a decade, 15 years. Where it's,
well, the iPhone came out in 2007. I put that in my book.
Yeah. 2000, exactly.
So not that long after.
No, not that long after. But really picked up when it comes to, a comment or a video being able to go viral about an experience that somebody found unfavorable.
Yeah.
Right. So the impact, because you touch on this in the book, about technology and just social media and people being able to air out their grievances publicly to an audience that may not even complain in the restaurant typically. If this were 15, 20 years ago, they probably wouldn't even complain. They just wouldn't tip.
Or wouldn't come back.
Yeah, or wouldn't come back. Or would tell their friend at Thanksgiving, I hate that place. That place sucks,
Whatever, for whatever reason. Not a big
Whatever,
deal.
yeah. So now they get on and they blast it. And if it gets picked up, if it's interesting or somebody's like, man, this is kind of funny what they said, or look at this, next thing you know, decades of hard work that has gotten somebody somewhere. And now you're defending your reputation, like you state in the book. You're defending your reputation when really this used to be like kind of a local review in a paper or just word of mouth type of stuff. So the impact. What has the impact been on specifically hospitality from your perspective, and how do you combat that? Is it a reactive approach? Is it a proactive approach? Yeah,
I mean, I think you have to start out with, if you have the procedures in place that everyone is following, right?
Yeah.
So if everybody's trying to execute at a high level, you can at least, stand behind your people, which is the first thing. They have to know that they're being defended. And the other thing is like, sure, things happen, and then everyone's empowered to immediately try to fix it.
Yeah.
Now, in the gray, are there people that like make stuff up?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But we also go after them.
Yeah.
We
and I've seen that too.
We do not play.
I've seen you directly respond to reviews.
Definitely.
And be like, like literally sitting there. When I said he wakes up he's responding to reviews. But while I'm sleeping, I'm like,
yeah.
I'm on like my 25th dream. And he's like, that didn't happen.
Yeah,
that person wasn't even working that day.
Like it's 12 for rose.
It's
12 for rose.
Yeah. If it's fabricated, I'm going to call you out. And it's important for your team.
Yeah.
Like if they handle the situation improperly, I would never yell at them in front of the customer. I might take them back and be like, hey, so next time, this is how we should do it. That's part of the training process too. But for the most part, if you fabricate something and I've had people take their review down.
Oh yeah. I know.
That's funny.
Dude, I've seen the posts. He's put up posts like on days that were crazy. It's a seasonal place. It's, we'll say it is on the Cape, and it gets hot there in the summer like it does anywhere else on the East Coast. It gets hot. Hot. It's humid. And, I've seen him put up posts like today it's 108 degrees in the kitchen.
Put the thermometer in the kitchen. Like that's a real reading. Not fabric. And I have AC in there.
Yes. And it'll be 105 degrees, 108 degrees or something like that. And he'll be like, please, if you come here, be kind to the staff. Like, we're working hard. These guys are really, literally sweating in here to serve you. If you want to come here, be kind. Like, he would preface people showing up there. Like, I expect you to be kind to my people. Don't come here and be a jerk because we're not going to really tolerate it.
Yeah. Which is another like contradiction to the like classic, and I don't know if it's just American, but like that school of business where they're like, customer's always right.
No.
And
that's one of your things.
The truth is, customer's not always right.
No, they're not. They're not. Not for nothing, I've had this discussion with him, and he's like, they're not always right. It's like, you need to weigh sometimes they are, for sure. Agreed. For sure, sometimes they are, but you need to weigh the possibility that maybe they're not. Maybe the staff is right today, and you give them the opportunity to hear them out. And it's something I'm telling you, I identify with this so much because we've all had jobs where, the leader doesn't care what you have to say. It's like, stop. The customer is always right, but they're not. The guy's lying. The guy came up here and he cursed at me. I remember there was a guy that was insistent that one of the cashiers took his card. Had his card.
Yep.
Remember?
Belligerent.
Yeah, belligerent. Give me back my credit card. You have my card.
To talk him off the ledge.
Yeah.
And then it turned out it was in his back pocket.
It was in his back pocket.
Did he ever apologize to them? Nope.
No. Just came back, was like, I got it. And it was like, he was insistent. He was complaining. He wanted management and all this stuff. And
we've had people bring receipts saying something was missing from their bag, and the receipt was from an Olive Garden.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, this is from an Olive Garden. You didn't get that here.
It's like, sorry, we don't have any carbonara here. Yeah. And if we did, there would be no peas in it.
There'd be no peas in it.
Thank you, God.
Yeah. So.
The callback. Yeah, that's it. We don't serve breadsticks here, sir, and it's not unlimited.
Yeah,
for sure.
Listen, my wife has stories. The girls out front wrote a book. Like, they have a book of all the crazy comments that they've been told that we're going to try and like do something with it. But they legitimately write down some of the craziest things people have said to them.
Oh, I can only imagine.
It is insane. And kudos to them, full credit to them, you know, in all the years that we own that particular business, they never lost their cool. Would they like have a breakdown and be crying and have to leave? Yes. Typically that also causes me or someone to come out, right?
Yeah.
So if your interest in life is to make a 16-year-old cry when you're picking up your hot dog, I'm going to shatter that dream for you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they hold it down. You know, my wife held it down out there. And it's, if you're doing everything you can, operating ethically, authentically, and trying to put out the best possible product, then I have no problem standing behind them. And neither does the managers.
Yeah.
I shouldn't just say me. There are other managers there too.
Yeah. But those managers are reflecting the culture that you instill in them. Like, listen, this is what we do. Totally. You're going to stand up for your people. If they're doing the right thing, just make sure that, you know, you're aware that it is the right thing.
Totally.
You know?
You mentioned your wife, and this brings me to a question that I wanted to ask you about, because you
It comes to hard questions.
Yeah,
The hard ones.
He's waiting for the last minute to hit.
No, but you spoke about meeting your wife within your career. I believe you met her when you were working at James Beard.
Yeah.
Yes. She was a pastry chef at the time.
Featured pastry chef from slightly north of Broad in Charleston, South Carolina.
I've seen pictures of them working opposite sides of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That night.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
And you spoke, you kind of spoke to, being in a relationship with somebody who's in the same industry, and how you guys kind of speak the same languages, and it kind of, I'd imagine that make things easier within your career. But I'm curious, because of, the changes within your career, at what point does, and you got children and things like that. So how did those life changes kind of affect career changes that you were making? Because I'm sure in the beginning, there's you and I are in the same industry. We're going to succeed. We're going to take over this place. But then children come into play, or your relationship just becomes a little more serious, where you have to devote more attention to it. I'm curious of how, your situation kind of went as you advanced in your career and went from working in the same building to, like you described, traveling 300 days a year.
Right. Yeah, it's a loaded. What, you going to give me the question?
So my question is,
There's a lot, man. I was like, descriptive.
My question was, how
ChatGPT, can you condense this? Can you condense this question?
My question was, how did you're developing yourself as a businessman, or yourself within your career and your family at the same time?
Yeah.
So how did growing your family kind of affect growing within the business, or within the industry? Because at this time when you were having kids, you didn't own a place yet, right? You were still working.
Correct.
Yeah. So
both of my kids worked at the place we bought too, just so we're clear, when they were older.
Yeah.
But before that, when they were younger.
Yeah.
And so there's when you work in this business, and we came up, similar tracks, working for different chefs, and she clearly, was driven to be excellent. She had moved to Charleston to go to culinary school, and then decided to work for the chef. And, she really did want to make the best possible product. So it's easy to have that conversation with your significant other when they know the trials and tribulations that you have to go through, like the dishwasher called out, or like I got to pull the hood vents, or I got to scrub down the kitchen, or I'm going to be late, or one thing that my children and first of all, my wife is an unbelievable person. I'm not just saying that because we're on a podcast, like legit.
I can vouch.
The saying around our house is where she sees a unicorn, I see a rhinoceros. Right?
Yeah.
That's just how it is. Right. So she's an unbelievable person. She's just views the world completely differently. She's very kind. But she also worked in a kitchen, right? The attraction when we first met was that she was rude to me. Right. So she, that night, the picture you saw, she was totally rude to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I like you. Yeah. And so, she's stubborn in the way that when something has to get done, it gets done.
Yeah.
And so, I wasn't the type of culinary person that, would leave work and bounce at a bar stool, right? I wasn't buying lotto tickets, right? I broke every single historical family trend possible, right? So my
facts on more facts.
On facts, right? my family was the number one thing. So it was kind of easy for me to transfer to a different industry, because she recognized that was a growth path and she fully supported it. And, we were able to financially support my family, and she could stay home and not work and watch and raise our children, and that's nothing. Listen, that job is 10 times harder than any job I've ever done.
Yep.
So that conversation was easy to have. Prior to that, like when I was in kitchens and she was still working, like going to the resort or moving to the Cape or, working in hotels, we did have a couple of jobs together, which was a whole nother story. But you don't have to explain things to her North Star, my North Star, as it pertains to work, we're similar.
Yeah, you guys were both on the same page, and it made those transitions essentially like seamless. You didn't have to worry about the home front because you knew that she would support you, no matter what, because she has a, same mindset and understands the goal.
Yeah. And I mean, it did get tiresome, to be away. And a lot of it is me missing my these moments in my children's lives, that definitely was not a great period. And you talk yourself in a hotel room, like, I'm doing this for this. We're trying to get to this level, whatever. You're trying to do this. And it kind of goes back to the salary piece. Like, is it really worth a salary that I'm living out of a hotel room? Like, I don't know. There's an argument there.
Yeah. It's funny because a lot of people do say, I don't know, right? But it's not until you're actually in this situation that people will definitively know. Everybody will convince themselves that they could do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, and before we move on from this, I think a large part that makes, I know for a fact that's made your wife come along on this journey and be willing to do so is, I've had conversations with her where she's like, you've instilled so much trust, or you've gotten her to trust you so much by just staying true to your word. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. And you try at it and you succeed at it. So it's like, it becomes easy to believe in a person and support a person when you know that they're going to commit to it and they're going to try their hardest. It's one thing when you got one of these guys like, well, I'm going to do this. And then, he does it halfway, he doesn't even finish painting part of the room he said he's going to paint. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So that part of you that commits to something and chases that thing makes it that much easier for that person to be like, oh yeah, he's going to do it.
Both of my children are rolling their eyes right now.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. She said it straight to me. She's like, I don't know. It's just something about Michael when he says he's going to do something. I just believe him and he does it. And I'm just like, damn, that's something. That's something that speaks volumes. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to be that way myself. You know what I mean? I still got a mirror I'm supposed to be hanging.
Yeah, that's why I just surprise things around the house. I never say I'm doing them, I just kind of show up one day. Look what I did.
Yeah, like I was willing to not hang with the boys, not watch football, not. Yeah. Those things literally mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I want to execute something that is going to ultimately affect my family and my wife, it was a pretty easy decision.
It seems like there's a correlation between people who are successful and that make sacrifices, right? There's always like some level of sacrifice when you hear about stories, success stories, whether it be somebody with minimal or high levels of success. Even, Justin and I, going to school, like you make sacrifices, at the smallest levels. Like it's like, hey, I can't hang out today because I got to go to class. I got to do this. I got to do that.
It costs something.
Yeah, there's a correlation between success and sacrifice.
Right.
You need to make these sacrifices in order to achieve your goals. And
yeah, like even this, just your podcast, right? Sure, there's like an expense that goes around with equipment, but what's not quantified typically, right, is it takes a commitment of your time. Right? We were having this conversation briefly the other day. I don't know what it was, like last week. You can't take directions from someone who's never been to where you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they're like, that's never going to work. You can't do that. You'll never achieve that. I feel like I'm at a family dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, how many times you've heard like, you'll never be able to do that, or how are you going to do that? Which is a disguised question of you're never going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right? The how question.
Yep.
That you just have to go do it. And you guys are executing it, right? 278 episodes, right? It's easy to do the math if you're doing it every week.
Yeah.
We're trying, that's for sure. But it's Justin and I enjoy each other's company, so it makes it easy.
Yeah, and if you look at the first episode, I mean, we tell guests that when they're like, "Oh man, like, the podcast looks great." It's like, listen, it wasn't always this way.
Right.
You can go back and you could see a webcam that's, first of all, mounted way too high. If you go to the first episode, I'm like, why the hell did I put the camera up there?
On shoeboxes and stuff. Like, we had things on top of things. We had like almost like a trapeze set that was holding up the webcam too.
Yeah, it was crazy. There's an episode where, because at one point when we started doing multi-scenes and multi-cameras, we had webcams on tiny desk tripods that were on the table. And there's like episodes where I'm knocking it over. And it's like, and just to get that multi-camera, kind of look, and slowly you find out just by doing it. Like you said, just by doing it, you find out what you need, you find out what you don't, you find out where you need to make improvements, and
but you're committed to be better.
Yeah,
that's my point. Right, that's the core of this conversation, right?
Yeah,
you're committed whether to each other or to yourselves. You're committed to make it better.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's easy to work with people like that.
It's the process that we enjoy. It's not, if one day this becomes something, we get signed, or somebody wants to buy our podcast, or our podcast blows up and we're committed to the process of getting better.
We're committed to each other too. We also don't want to disappoint each other. And we want to make sure that we're always operating at a similar level.
Yeah.
So there's never going to be a time where I'm doing something a little more and Justin doesn't start fucking doing a little more too. Like, oh, you think you're going to make more clips? Like, I'm going to make a couple clips.
Well, hey, competition is healthy.
Yeah, it is.
So as long as it's like equitable and understanding.
Yeah, it's because I feel like within me and him, we don't want to be the guy doing the least. We both want to be contributing.
Right.
And if we see that one of us are contributing more than the others, we'll find a way to kind of get things done. Because there's always work to be done. No matter what you're doing in any business and any organization, and whatever you're doing, there's always more you could do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're accountable to each other. It's like, we know we have to be here on Tuesday. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's going on Tuesday night. It's like a job. It's like a shift.
Totally.
It's Tuesday night. This is what it is. His wife, my girlfriend, my mom, his grandmother's like whatever it is. It's like, listen, we love everybody else. We care about everybody else, but people already know that's what it is. Like, don't call them between 7 and 8 unless, your phone rings sometimes, but I think that's just a lapse in people forgetting things. Yeah. But, he's an important guy.
Got a lot of things going on, a lot of opportunities.
That's right.
A lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, that's right.
Me too.
Things that need to be level set.
Some loose ends need to be tied off.
Yeah, a lot of regrouping. In my life. Things like that. Yeah, for sure. My
friend Matt always says, "Don't talk about it, be about it."
Yeah.
Which I have stolen that from him. If he is watching, I did take that from him.
That is the name of the game, right? The proof is in the pudding. When you're doing something and it's good and it works, nobody could say that how. It's like, well, I kind of don't really have to say how, right?
Oh, Matt, I dropped in at his academy. That guy? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yo, be about it. Yeah. I dropped in over there after I hadn't trained for months up here. Oh, yeah. I dropped in over there, pulled over on the side of the road, and threw up.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I got to the house like, ugh. And my say what happened, I was like, I threw up on somebody's lawn. I was like, I don't know who it was. Pulled over and threw up.
Yeah.
Yes, I think successful people have a singular focus and they don't necessarily get caught up in all the planning. Right, you plan as much as you can, then they just go execute. Right, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff you have to reevaluate as you're doing it. But those high-level operating people, I think that's the difference, is that they just do it.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, and this is a question that's going to be, for the both of us. What kind of changes do people make in the current state of like where we live in now with social media and, everybody trying to get eyes on their product? What kind of changes do you make today to get people to view your product? Because I feel like nowadays it isn't necessarily about, obviously everybody has to perform. Everybody has to go out and try to execute, right?
Sure.
But this is a two-part question, right? Do you believe that there's a lot of things that could be successful that just aren't because they aren't getting the necessary eyes on there, right? And then how do those people gain those eyes? Because I know for sure that there's a lot of products that are dog shit that are getting a ton of eyes.
Yeah.
Right? So there has to be, the opposite has to be true too. There has to be a lot of great products that aren't getting the eyes. How do those people make adjustments to essentially just get the viewer on, not the viewer or the consumer to come? What kind of strategic changes do you think that people can make now that weren't necessary back in the day because of the internet time that we're living in?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty nebulous. But I will use like one of the businesses we have that on Instagram has like 50 or 48,000 followers. In that instance, it was learning or trying to learn how the algorithm was working and then consistently posting, right? So, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but what are we really doing on social, right? We are day trading attention. That's what we're doing.
Woo!
Right? So,
Woo! Mic drop. Did you make that up?
Well,
Woo!
I just
Let's go, mic drop.
That's been happening for a while, right? So
Day trading attention.
So the only way day trading attention works is you got to day trade it. You got to be constantly putting it out there. You got to be doing stories, reels, posts, hashtags, no hashtag. Like you got to learn the algorithm. And I think part of that is people think they post and then like they post and then they wait for the sales to come in.
Yeah.
And we didn't get that followership for like 2 years. Like, sure, it started gaining like 250, 300. You know, I dynamically started changing the storytelling on the Instagram posting and got a little crazy to see what it would do. A little risque, but it started talking to a certain age group. Then the followership started popping and it started hitting. And people don't spend enough time doing that.
Yeah.
Because it can be at times, doom scrolling is a real thing. It can time suck. But if you're on there, like I wasn't necessarily doom scrolling other than trying to see what hashtags were trending, what was the trending music, because you can get access to that data, what the top posts are or what's trending on the app store. I was just trying to keep up with it. And did I necessarily know what I was doing? No, I just didn't. I was relentless. Right? I was relentless in trying to learn how this could benefit my business and what was the sweet spot. And I tried all kinds of different things. Some posts I took down, some posts I broke into stories. I just think that most people, they get on there and they just scroll, man. They're not like really
they consume instead of producing.
And I look at it like a data research to me. Like I don't necessarily randomly scroll. I mean, sure, I send some funny memes to you and I send some stuff because I'm on there.
Yeah.
But you got to do something in the toilet, right? So I get it. But, for the most part, if I want to do a certain type of, let's say the book is a great example, right?
Yeah.
Some have asked me like, how are you going to promote this book? Well, the publisher is going to help promote, they're going to help promote it too. But my Instagram is going to have things that correlate with what's in the book, some messaging. And then there'll be some completely different posts that it is part of the underlying core of what the book is about, but it's totally like in I format, like in a storytelling format. And then there'll be something else where I'll take a video from something that's trending and put up there. And I'll just keep doing it until I find what's hitting.
Yeah. And I think that's where I was kind of trying to go to, that now places not only need to be very good at their individual subsection of business or whatever they're producing, but they also have to be very good at marketing.
Totally.
Like it's a new now hat that people have to wear. Marketing was always very important. I think from my perspective, I could be wrong, it's even more important now.
More important.
It is more important. I mean, if you look at analytics and you look at the amount of people that are watching, Instagram or the reach versus television viewers, please, it's not even close.
Well, that's why what I said was that you get like an inferior product that has all this following, right? And then you get a product that might be great, but doesn't have the following because whether they're incapable of doing the social media marketing or whatever the case may be, doesn't get as much attention. But the other one is huge. It happens all the time with people who throw their brand on a random wallet or something like that from China, and they just put their brand on it, and then they just market the hell out of it.
Thanks.
And it's the same one that you see like on Taobao or whatever, but it just has a different.
Right.
That happens
all the time.
every single day. There's people who their job is they find products, Taobao, anywhere that are manufactured overseas, and they just throw their logo on it and just market the shit out of it. And people look
how many
at
times have you seen creative people take like a Rogan video that looks like he is saying, I take this product, and they are very good at manipulating that.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so if you're doom scrolling and you connect with him and you're like, yo, ketone, I'm going to buy that stuff. It just happens.
Yep, all the time. They'll have that first section where Joe Rogan goes, "Wow, what's that?" And then it cuts to somebody else in a similar looking room.
Yeah.
And he's
Next thing you know, I'm chewing on that rubber thing. I'm like, I'm gonna get my jaw crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's a
But
whole.
clearly, AI is not helping. It's like a new skill set you have to learn.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to. There's all kinds of things that I've been doing ridiculous, like really exploring it because I just want to have an understanding of it. But it's not going to get any easier.
No.
See, I have that problem is I'm resistant to AI. Because I'm
You're like my dad was with the ATM card.
yeah,
I'm not using
probably.
ATM card. I carry cash.
Yeah, cash is
Okay.
king.
How'd that work out?
I start licking on
I think
lick
that
his
a lot
finger.
of people believe it's better than it is. I think that people in AI understand it's not that good yet.
Sure.
But from the outside, people are like, this is amazing. A lot of times, this is people's first time looking at AI. My dad swears that my dad's targeted, I swear to God, on Facebook. My dad gets all
He's
these
hilarious.
alien videos.
I love those. I love those.
The
My
Puerto
dad-
Rican ones?
Dude,
He sends me those all the time.
I love those.
My dad is convinced that they're real.
Oh my God. You
There's
should send him
one-
the Rasta Monkey one. They'll get off
Dude,
that.
my dad is convinced they're real. And I'll show him ridiculous videos. Like I've showed him like Trump and Putin in dresses. And I'm like, Dad, look, this looks real. But you know that this isn't real. Nah, Bobby, look at this one.
Yeah.
We thought it was cookies the whole time. But they were really aliens.
They do look like frogs.
They do.
And he is convinced. For him, AI is like this danger to society, is very real. For me, I look at it and I'm like, I can blatantly tell this is AI. It's not as accurate as you believe it is. It's
Right.
I can see the all the stuff in it that makes it. I could tell that it was fabricated by a computer who is interpreting what he believes that where we see or we think. But for the average consumer, it's like, oh man, this is the craziest thing ever. And I think that's like that with any new thing.
You know
that
who
comes
else
out.
thought that? The guy with the horse carriage when the cars came out.
You thought that he thought it was a simple thing.
He thought it was nonsense.
He thought it was, I don't think AI is nonsense.
No,
I don't
I'm
think
just
it's
saying.
as good as people believe it is. Like this whole entire thing, AI is going to take everybody's job. Eventually, maybe, but not the one we got now.
I mean, when the guy rolled up, it was like,
Yeah, when the guy rolled up in the car, they were like, don't worry, you'll always be able to take care of the horses. How'd that work out?
No, eventually,
they're
AI
trying to
will get
kick them
better.
out of Central Park.
Yeah. Eventually, AI will be at the point where it can, but right now, not today. And it will grow very fast because that's the way technology works. But right now, we still can't get it to draw a picture without putting 6 fingers on a kid.
True.
But that's getting much, much better.
Yeah.
It's getting much better. I don't know if you've seen like any of these street interviews and stuff that are AI, not the coqui guys that
Right.
are like, oye, compay, que tengo esta,
I think that video you watched, that guy that made that video, he made 50, 60, 100 other versions of that same exact video that were all botched. If you ever try to do something with AI, the product that you finish with, and I dabble with AI a little bit, but I'll give you a good example. The other day, I'm working on a project within my home. A lot of my home is like smart, and I want to have a dashboard to display on the floor where there'd be a 3D model of my house, and you can just click on the lights, and it's a real image of my house, and you could click on the lights, and they'll turn on. You could click on the garage, it'll open, so on and so forth, right?
Like Iron Man Jarvis kind of shit.
It's similar, right?
and it is really,
I want to get down with that too.
yeah, he's really doing this kind of thing. I was looking at the 3D model he was building on a computer. I was like, okay. I was like, Jesus. I was like, I'm trying to learn the cuatro.
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to learn. And I was like, guess that's where we differ.
If you see me creating the 3D model, it's because AI fucked it up for so long. I was tired of getting it to try to do it. Because it's like the first model came out. Oh, it's pretty decent. You missed a couple walls. All right, here, add these walls over here. Then it changes some other shit. It's like I tried for so long to get this AI to do what I wanted it to do, and it would do what I wanted to do, but then fuck something up. It was like the movie, but not Bedazzled, but it was with the guy would get the wishes from the devil. And every time she would grant him a wish, something would come out fucked up. So he's like,
it was Bedazzled. It was Elizabeth Hurley.
Yes.
No?
Yeah. That was called Bedazzled?
Yeah, Bedazzled.
And he would be, I want to be strong, I want to be big. And she made him this big NBA player. But then she gave him a little schmeckle. No. Yeah, she gave him a little piece. You know, and that's how I feel about AI. It's like, man, it's like, yeah, it is capable. But then when you get your hands on it, it's like, it takes me so long to get what I need to get. Like the video you're watching, essentially, is what I'm saying, is it took a lot of effort to get that video. Yes,
totally.
It did.
Prompt writing is like a skill.
Yeah, it is.
Bingo.
It is. I'm not going to say that it isn't, but you know, I guess I'm just thinking from the creative perspective, right? Like I do photography, I do videography, I make music, and when I look at these things and I see like guys like Timbaland. You know, Timbaland, hit music producer. He has partnered with Suno. It's been a while now that he's partnered with Suno. And Suno is the biggest, you know, that's crazy. You know, so Suno is in Berto's phone and has
somebody I know would say their name.
Yeah, that's weird. I show up to the door and it's like, Justin is here. And I'm like, what?
I think that's I'm in.
Yeah. So this guy partnered with Suno, and Suno is, you just prompt it and it makes music for you. You're just like, make a song, make a Billy Joel style piano piece with you know, elements of Elton John, and I want a vocal performance like Gwen Stefani. You know, and make it you know, 88 BPM, and it comes out with a song. And now they have a country music song that's charting like #1.
Was it last year Spotify? Didn't they have like a top 5 band
that was AI?
That was completely fabricated.
I think it was.
So are their numbers.
Yeah, I mean, but either way, I mean, it hurts the creative space, in my opinion, so far. You know, also, you know, not for nothing, I know a lot of people in college that are using AI to complete all their assignments, and when you do that kind of thing, I mean, you're going to end up with, do you want to be on the table with, you know, a surgeon standing over you that passed 80% of his med school classes using ChatGPT?
But don't we get back to the theory that you were mentioning before, where those people get weeded out? Totally. They get weeded out. Do we really have to worry about those people, or will those people be weeded out?
I mean, they'll get weeded out by their 3rd surgery. And you're like, oh, you just...
they get weeded out in residency. They're not even doing surgeries yet.
Dude. So many residents are R-word.
Yeah.
You know, come on. Let's be for real.
Yeah. I don't disagree with what you're saying, right? But I do think that, like, standards, I don't know if the standards are going to change when it comes to people, because people have been cheating for years.
True.
But it's a different kind of...
Either somebody can perform or they can't, right?
Exactly. That's how I feel.
And
yeah, you feel the same way?
You could cheat your way. You can only cheat your way so far. You can cheat on these tests all you want. But when we're I see it all the time where I work with people. I have been surrounded by technology, and it's been my like what I wanted to do for a long time. And I can tell the people who picked this major because they thought they were going to make money, and now they work alongside me, and it's like, oh, you only know what they taught you. You never went outside of that book. Right. You never you never did this on your own.
But what's the key phrase? Where do they work?
They work with me. I'm not at that point. I'm not at that level though, right?
Well,
I'm still at the level where those guys can still exist. And that guy might exist, but he might not get the level of work that I get. But he might be in this company.
Is he making what you make?
I don't work in a union. I work in a place where it's like, you work hard, you get the money.
Okay. You know, so that's my point, is like a lot of people are getting to levels they don't deserve to get to because of this kind of thing.
I wonder if that's a big thing. I know people are definitely getting into institutions, like getting into schools. They're getting good grades. But I think that all those things are kind of like outside of those institutions, they're kind of irrelevant, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to, ultimately, at the end of the day, is like, at some point, your company is going to become stagnant if it's completely surrounded by people who are mediocre. right? So like someone's going to make 1 year, someone's going to be like, our growth pattern is not the trajectory that we've invested in.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to deep dive into it and find out.
Yeah, it's like, oh, these guys aren't as smart as I thought they were. They were very good at. That's why it takes both, right? I need AI to make me the ultimate resume, but then I gotta get in that room and I gotta fucking pitch myself because AI is not gonna be in there.
Totally.
You gotta have both things.
I mean, when I did consulting, I'd have to go into big rooms, right, with very powerful people and ask for a lot of money to get them to sign a contract that ultimately could help their multi-million-dollar company change. So like I could make, at the time, you could make the PowerPoint stack. That was what you did. Or you went to Staples and printed out, and then you got them to sign the contract, and then you had to execute. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the contract, right? In the clause, they had a 30-day clause where they could just end the contract.
Pull out, yeah.
Yeah. So at the end, you can get in there and do it and sell them and ask them for the money, but then you have to do the work.
Yeah, you have to perform. That's why I'm not super aware. Music and things like that, maybe they have something to worry about. But we had this argument before where my perspective is that the end user does not care who made the music.
Fair.
I think that you as a creator have a different perspective. But I think the consumer doesn't necessarily care. I'll give you another example.
Which I don't disagree with.
Keeping on brand, yeah. I'll use a kitchen as an example.
Oh, hit me.
Does the average consumer care who prepared their meal? Yes, there's people maybe like yourself where you go to places that are sought after because the individual who's making this food or the chef who designed this menu is brilliant. But that's not the theory of the average person when they go out, right? We're just looking for a good meal and not necessarily concerned with whether it was made by a machine back there or made by a human.
Sure. I could sort of agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be what we want as a society, right?
There's so many variables there. Like machines can only cook certain. Let's say we were far advanced and machines were doing the cooking.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't really matter because it's a consistent price per value experience. I pay $52 for a steak. If the steak comes cooked perfectly every time, I don't really care who's cooking it.
Yeah.
Right? Because they know that it's not a human back there cooking. Right? So I think hospitality in totality requires an experience that goes beyond food. Like there's a saying that a server could save a bad meal, but a bad meal can't save bad service. Right? So, it's tough to agree with you completely on that because it's not just so zeros and ones, right?
Yeah, it's not so binary.
Yeah.
Which I do agree with. I think that my example was oversimplified in order to try to get you to agree with what I was saying.
Well, like, look, let's say there was a fast food place called Fry's, right? And you knew you went there because there is a company right now, Miso, out in California that's making robots that cook fries called Frippy. Legit, like, it's a giant arm. It drops the basket perfectly. It pulls it out. It dumps it. It salts it. Puts it in a thing. You get it. There are big multi-unit companies that are exploring potentially using that, to save tons of money on insert problems with employees here.
Yeah.
Right? So that's happening. Now, if it's a consistent experience, right, what's the argument for the consumer? Well, I'm not paying wages. I'm not paying your retirement. I'm not paying health benefits. I'm not paying, so it should be cheaper. So does that company offer that same fry product as the same price as a Five Guys? It can't.
There is.
But don't they? Don't they still put it at the same price, whether...
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
But they...
I mean, greed is a real thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
let's not get each other.
Because I tell you what, at one point, the guy at McDonald's was doing this with my drink. Now it just comes in this thing and
Right.
it comes out and he just grabs it. It's full. It's got this predetermined amount of ice. It's got the predetermined amount of soda or whatever the beverage is. He doesn't press the button. He's not at
Right.
the end, right?
Right.
It's much more efficient. It's quicker. They're saving money.
So
But
what?
the soda's not cheaper.
Yeah. So what determines that, right? The market determines that. So if people continue to pay the same amount for the robot French fries, why would they change the price?
Conversely, why did Chipotle stop doing self-serve soda? Because People steal.
Because people steal. But I thought that the margin on soda was so ridiculous that they still that it didn't matter. I thought that's why they always would. That's why you pay for the cup and not the soda.
Well, there's something called a menu mix. I don't want to get too far now, but it's important that you understand how this works because maybe people are interested in this, right?
I am.
A menu mix is defined by X amount of products sold within the menu, offsets the other items that have less of a margin. So, like, what does ridiculous mean to you? If it takes, let's just use even numbers, 15 cents, to give you a soda that costs $2.99, right? In there is buried costs that most people don't know, right? Ice. Oh, well, the water's free. Nope, you get a water bill. Oh, you got to make the ice. You got to buy a $10,000 ice machine, and you need to get electric to make the ice, right? There's all those other things, hidden costs in there. But let's just say, for the sake of this argument, it's 15 cents, and they're charging $3.99, and they're making $3.65, right? Now they're selling you some other product for $1.99 or a value menu item that is ridiculously cheap, but it's a loss leader, what they call loss leader product, right? So they're negative. So in the menu mix, when they look at the metrics, which I've done a lot of times, you look at how many sodas you sold within an order that sold how many tater tots. I'm just using an example. Mm-hmm. So if the menu mix is correct and the metrics make sense, you sold 500 tater tots that basically cost you 10 cents, but you sold 500 sodas.
Offsets.
It offsets, right?
Yeah.
So that's what a good menu mix does in all of these places. So if people are stealing soda, 2 or 3 or 4 sodas at a rip, times however many people they're serving a day, is it really still profitable?
I always assumed that it was soda fell into like that mustard packet category.
Which also, by the way, during the pandemic went from $19 a case to $62 a case.
Whoa. Now we can't give them away anymore.
No, you can't give them away.
We don't. You had
This guy does not play.
You had to ask for it, and then we would give it to you.
Yeah, but I always, this is as a consumer, I have no idea, right?
Right.
So I always assume listen, the money's not big enough on soda. There's 2 things I thought. There's an ice cream theory that I once heard. It could be wrong, but this is the theory that I heard, is that you can offer somebody unlimited ice cream and still make money because there's only so much ice cream that the end user can consume. Similarly, with soda, there's only so much soda they're going to consume that we're not going to we're not going to lose the money. Is that accurate?
Well, I'll give you a better example. Like I did 3 buffets at 3 different hotels in Vegas on this trip, right?
Okay. Oh, so you're an expert in this.
So they're in that room, in that meeting, right, is a bunch of food and beverage people, the GM, assistant GM, and then there's like a psychologist and a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Who ultimately can have the final say. So the way which I didn't know, like I went in, one of the examples is Win. I went in and did the Win. It was super high end, ridiculous evening charges on their rooms. They comped a lot, but it was for high rollers. So, we wanted to make this insane, great menu. They completely revamped the menu to make sure they put all the cheaper stuff in the beginning and the expensive at the end because they have data that says a human typically, even at its most, can only consume 2.2 pounds of food. So if we fill their plates up with potato and rice and stir fry and all this other stuff, then the crab legs at the end will be fine.
Yeah.
Right? So
put that dense stuff in the beginning.
And it's a legit thing that when you start looking at the numbers at the end of every month, every quarter, it's true.
Yeah.
So like that's how they can comp a high roller. Right? They can be like, oh yeah, here's a free buffet. The old joke is check, play, free buffet. Right? So you can go to a free buffet for 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
You're like, how can hundreds of people eat for free on this ridiculous buffet with all these things and all these desserts and drinks?
Because on the mix, it works itself out.
Right.
On the menu mix.
On the menu mix, it works itself out.
Totally.
Can we touch on the other buffet?
OTHER? Yes.
The Bellage?
Yeah.
All right, so I got to say this because before I knew that he consulted and did the Bellagio buffet, I went there. I went there on my buddy's bachelor party years ago. I talked about that buffet for like 4 months after we came back.
Not just you, it's a tourist attraction. It's like when people talk about going to Vegas, that's the buffet that people are like, listen, you got to go to the buffet at the Bellagio.
All the major brands on the strip were trying to outdo each other.
Dude, I didn't find this out till we were in Puerto Rico. We're sitting in Puerto Rico, we're having like a cigar, and this guy proceeds to tell me like, oh, the Bellagio, when I consulted on Bellagio, I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, wait a minute. I went there myself And I still talk about that buffet to this day. And yeah, so that shit right there, that's science. That's
Science.
everything you could think of in terms of a customer experience was dialed in by everybody involved.
Do you ever notice to get to the check-in counter, you got to walk through the casino? Did you ever notice that when you go right outside the casino, let's say to smoke a cigarette, it's distorted really bad 80s rock to drive you back in the building?
Damn, it's a mind game. Me and Justin recently went to
Am I wrong?
You're 100%
Dude,
right.
you're on point.
Me and Justin recently went to a JBBQ, it's a Korean barbecue place out here, and it's all you could eat like meats. And we have to approach things strategically now. Justin has like this logic where he's like, no, you're gonna follow me through this, and I'm gonna guide you through this all you could eat.
We're not doing this. Don't touch the rice noodles. We're going over here. I'm like, you know what? The steak is back there.
Totally.
Yeah, Justin took me to the back corner of this place, and he's like, this is where the fillets are. And I'm like, you been here before? Nope. He was his strategy. They're trying to mind fuck us, Roberto.
He's not putting, did I tell you that?
He's putting.
But is it not true? Every
It's
buffet is set
100%
up like
true,
that.
man.
Dude, everybody else we're sitting with is like, they got lamb, and Justin's like, they fucking do.
What's near the beginning of the buffet? The giant dessert square.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, he's right. That's how they get me. The cheesecake bites.
Of course.
How many are you going to eat?
I could eat until I'm full. Disgusting. Then I don't have no more room for fillets.
Yeah, and you know where'd we go? Last year, we went to, I think it was Juan's birthday, right? We went to the Korean barbecue spot, but it wasn't a buffet style. It was like they have servers. Dude, when I'm telling you, they started slowing them down. It was like
Yeah,
you know,
the
the Vegas dealer. You know, they come over and they're like,
Yeah.
when you start winning, some other dude comes up. I'm like, who's this guy?
Right.
I was like, I was just crushing with that guy. Who's this
Yep.
guy? So
That's one of the reasons why, I never gambled. Like, I never gambled because of how I grew up. But
Yeah.
I never gambled after a couple of meetings. I'm like, oh, yeah, no wonder this place in the desert has these beautiful lights. It's not from people winning.
Yeah.
So it's some of the stuff I can tell you would make your head spin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, there's
dude.
a lot of stuff coming out in the news now, right? And where now with this new RICO that's going on with these gambling rings that the mafia families were involved in, and they looped in these NBA players and retired NBA players who really didn't have anything to do with this, but this was just, they were involved in the takedown. But now they're exposing all of these shuffling machines. And now all these people are in court, and the prosecutors are asking them, do the casinos have these shuffling machines? Do they have the ability to do this? Now there's all this exposure that's going on, and we won't hear about this in the news, but this is what's going on right
It's
now.
like Ocean's 11.
It's like, but
There you
no,
go.
these people are now on record stating that the casino machines do have these devices, and they do have the capabilities of doing it. So, which means that they may be or maybe not doing it, and it's in their best interest to, manipulate the outcome of some of these games. So,
Right. Full disclosure, we're not saying anybody's doing anything.
no, I'm not saying they're doing it. I'm saying that these guys are saying that
Yeah.
they have the ability. I don't know if that's true or not.
Right, for sure.
I mean,
I don't
if
know.
somebody has the ability, anybody has the ability. It's that. So it plants that seed of doubt.
Bingo.
That's really the thing.
Bingo.
If there's some guy, if Chauncey Billups is handing out, if they're running poker games where he's got like sunglasses on and he's seeing like markings on the cards, there's a very good chance that these guys that are like, playing with the
cat.
yeah.
He's got the cat in the chair and he turns around. That Chauncey Billups things was so oversold. That guy wasn't even in the house. It was in his guest house. He wasn't even in the games. He was just bringing people there. This you know how the news works.
Just to distract us from Diddy.
This is to distract us from all the oil. It's a different kind of oil nonetheless. Yeah,
I knew it. Damn
This
it.
segment brought to you by Baby Oil.
Yeah.
Sorry, brought to you by
Johnson & Johnson, family company. Proudly since 1846. Yeah, now Diddy's got that new documentary out on Netflix.
Oh my God.
Owned by 50 Cent.
Owned by 50 Cent, where they got all this footage.
Ultimate pettiness.
Oh my
Did
God.
you
How
see
can
the
you not
interview?
love that. Yeah, how can you not?
The interview where he's like, where they talk about how he specifically put it on networks that he knows are shown in prisons.
CNN.
Yeah,
He said CNN is the only news network you're allowed to watch in jail. So he put
He does interviews.
So he's doing CNN interviews. I'm like, oh my God, this guy.
Yeah, put it on Netflix, doing interviews on CNN.
This is where the show goes off the rails.
That's it. Listen, this is after hours.
Oh yeah, these are after hours. Netflix going through their whole thing with Paramount now. The big they're
can we
forcing
go
this
hard
buyout.
after hours? We can say whatever now.
Oh, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want this whole time. Are you kidding
I'm
me?
about to take my shirt off.
Hey, you're sure? I'm trying to take my no. So we got a couple things in the chat. I know this was
hit me.
Yeah, this was a while ago. I mean, Twiz was in here. He's like, let me intern. He wants to interview in the he wants to intern in the kitchen. Like in the kitchen and cook with you. So kitchen culture has changed, he said. And then I think, judging by the avatar, that this may be Jason, our cousin. Send love from San Diego.
It is.
Sounds about right.
Shout out to San Diego.
Shout out to San Diego. And then Spaz is up in here.
San Diego.
One of our mods. He says, same goes with display cases. People tend to look at displays the same way they read. Top left to bottom right. So if you put your most profitable things at the top left, you're better off.
Well, I will say in the supermarket world, you pay for shelving. The manufacturer pays for shelving. And obviously, primo shelving is eye level. And not primo shelving is too high or too low. That's like a real thing. And it's big money. That's why if you go down the shelves like Progresso, Hunt's, they got the most shelf space with all their different versions of the same thing.
Yeah.
And, if you go down the aisle and you look for like Justin's hot sauce, there's like, it's all the way in the bottom right corner, behind the old soy sauce.
Hey, we're trying to increase shelf space.
Yeah.
All right. The company's working. We're working at it.
When he said the same thing, dude, I was at the supermarket the other day and I'm like looking for tomato paste and it's like canned tomatoes, canned peeled tomatoes, tomato paste. And I'm like,
yeah.
What? Which one is the one I need?
I'll blow your mind even better. The best, which you may have heard this, the best color to put your product in the freezer section?
This guy.
Green?
And red.
And why is this?
Because as soon as you open the door and you close it and it frosts over, those are the colors that shine through.
Yeah, this guy, we're there buying groceries. We're there buying stuff. We were going to cook something at the house. And I'm getting schooled to this. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is crazy. Is this why I'm always reaching for the peas? Is this why?
Yeah.
Can
you, and I know we're over the hour, but what are some of the key words that consumers should look out for when they want to buy a quality food? Because I know, and you spoke about this in the book too, that what are some of these words that are monitored by governing bodies that legitimately do mean organic?
Well, I can only talk in the protein world because it's the easiest one to explain. So if you go to buy meat and it says no antibiotics, all they have to do is stop giving the animal antibiotics 60 days before slaughter and they can label it that. The only protein that doesn't have those things are the ones that say never ever.
No antibiotics ever.
That's the only way they're allowed to write that, is that they've never been given that.
Okay, I get a lot of flack because I buy the products that say organic on them because I got kids, and in my mind, I'm like, I want to do the right thing. But sometimes people be like, man, that's all the same thing, right?
Back in the day, like Heart Healthy. Remember you used to have the Heart Healthy?
Yeah.
You just pay for that.
You just pay for it.
Yeah, Heart Healthy was on Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah, you can just pay for it.
Well, now they got organic, non-GMO organic. There's so many different kind of eggs you could get.
Right.
There's like the free range, the cage one. And then they're by colors now too.
I hear, what I've researched and what I see when I crack it open in the pan is that pasture raised looks the most like the farm eggs my buddies give me.
The freshest you can tell is if the white stays tight.
Yeah, the white stays tight and
like
the yolk
thick.
and the yolk is orange. It's almost
you can get not necessarily orange yolks, but that's definitely.
But if the white stays tight,
man.
No matter how hot the pan is.
Nope.
No matter how hot the pan is, if the white stays tight, like the more viscous and it's gelatinous almost.
Yep.
Stays right there.
Totally.
Look at that. Oh man, you look concerned. That organic ain't been doing it for you, huh? You got loose egg whites in that organic crate.
I don't think I got loose egg whites. The reason I got this thing in my head because you said hot pan, and I've been watching a bunch of videos. We recently got a new pot and pan set in my house, and my wife doesn't seem to like the pots and pans that we got, and I think that this is user error. I would never say this to her, but it's.
I got news for you, bro. She's gonna see this.
Yeah. But I'm like, honey, I think you got to rip that fire a little higher, right? And I think that we shouldn't be putting the oil in right away. You
doing stainless steel?
It's
you got the ceramic or something like that. Got hexagons in it and all that.
Oh God, I hope not.
That's what you got. It's all right.
it is a blended material. They're the hex-clad pots and pans.
Oh, of course they are hex. There we go. So go ahead with the hex. Explain to us.
Lifetime warranty, man.
Yeah, I got you, bro.
You know, this is efficient. I'm in the efficiency state of my life.
Yeah.
Sacrifices are being made. You don't think I want stainless steel? I would love stainless steel. I'm making sacrifices.
You could literally just go buy a non-stick from Home Goods and throw it away every other week, and it'd still be cheaper.
And it'd still be cheaper. But you know what? Hexclad, they're not getting over on me. You know how many replacements? I've got an assortment now of Hexclads. I get a tiny ding in it. I need another one. And they just send you another one. I don't want to make this about...
Not anymore, but go ahead.
I thought we're about organic right now.
Organic.
Yes,
So you're
organic,
saying it's the operator error. Is there anything specific that has to do with the food?
No, nothing to do with the food. I think that I don't know what I think. I don't even want to say it now. I think that just the egg isn't being prepared properly, and that's why it's sticking to the pan. I think that the flame needs to be a little bit hotter, and I think that we shouldn't put the... You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, you tell me if this is the way I should be making the egg. I heat the pan first. Then I put the oil in, and I put the egg in shortly after.
What oil are you using?
I use avocado oil.
Okay, so it's got a high smoke.
High smoke point.
Yeah, but the pan gets hot. I put the oil in. I let the oil heat up for a little bit, and then I put the thing in. And I really just put enough oil to coat it. Like I'm not like deep frying it. And I think that what my wife is doing, I could be wrong, but I think she's putting the pan on, putting oil in, and then the whole thing gets super hot. And then somehow, some way, her eggs are sticking.
Well, there is no right or wrong way with the oil entrance.
I thought that was the key.
Right? If anything, you want to raise the temperature together.
Oh, she's right. I'm wrong.
But there has to be, right, the protein sets when it hits the heat, and if there's any kind of nonstick under that protein, so if she's not moving it around so it covers, then it's going to stick. You might as well not put any oil into it.
Yeah.
Right?
Something I learned. I know this. I'm not familiar with the hex-clad stuff or hexagon or whatever.
That's a marketing thing, dude.
Okay.
But it's just a blend of like Teflon and stainless steel, right?
Yeah, it's jibber jab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stainless steel, it was within the last, I'm telling you, 3 years or so, I actually learned how to cook on a stainless steel pan. I was putting stuff into the pan when, let's say you drop a little bit of water in there and it steams up. Now I got the mercury effect going.
Yeah.
I got you don't put anything in the stainless steel pan until it gets past that steaming kind of cooking the water temperature, and it beads up and floats around
balls,
on it.
Right?
It floats around on it. Now it's hot enough. Then you put the oil in. Then I put the egg. Nothing has stuck since. And it changed my life. It changed my life. It's that guy, that guy from Instagram that's like, this is how you make an egg.
Oh, yeah.
Don't fuck it up.
And don't play with it. Let it cook.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Don't be
that's my guy. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this is how you use a stainless steel pan. I was like, forever, I just didn't use it. I was like, oh, these are broken.
Oh, it's funny you said that because I've been trying to conquer the egg for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you.
But now that he's mentioned that, I believe that I've just bought an inferior product. And I'm
so glad these mind-altering questions. Is there anything else from Twiz? Twiz, you can't work in the kitchen unless you come back and produce this show.
That's right.
Well,
look at that. You heard it. You heard it here.
You heard it here first, Swizz.
You heard it here first.
But Swizz does. He does like to be in the kitchen. He whips a lot of stuff up.
I came all this way to potentially, possibly meet Twiz and sad emoji.
Yeah, Swizz. I told him about your crab leg recipe, and we were excited to have you here to talk about it. And here we are. You're not here,
dude. I was shocked when we went to a spot and he ordered in Korean.
Oh yes.
He's a big, he loves Asian food. He loves Asian cuisine.
I was like, what? He was all about it. He was like, I was blown away. I was like, what the hell did I just witness? He's like, oh, it's no big deal. I was like, how much anime do you watch?
Dude, he's the one that put me on the ramen. He'd be going to the ramen places and talking to them, and they'd be like, hold on, we got to get the guy in the back for this guy.
Yeah, they're like, oh, sorry, my friend.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. And then Jose goes and gets the guy in the back that actually knows what he's saying. And it's like, this is the guy that's smoking in the back in the white apron in a full squat.
Yeah, dude.
That guy's got to come back there.
Yeah,
and a white
knows
beater.
When they change the noodles. We went to a spot one day, and he straight up was like, yo, y'all changed the noodles in here.
Korean guy that speaks perfect Spanish.
Yo,
he's like,
crazy.
Yeah, we changed the noodles. We got the new noodles, and he was like, yeah, I know, they're shit. Switch it up.
And the guy's like, I'm telling you, I was blown away. Guy put me onto a bomb ramen spot. I went in there, all Asian people eating. I was like,
come on, Twiz.
I was like, bro, I was like, that's it. I'm telling you, he ordered in Korean. I was like, it says chicken. What did you say? You know, and I was impressed. I was like, okay, this is the guy when I go to get,
a real,
you know. So
Twiz says if he would have known in advance, he would have made his sriracha wings, which is his signature dish.
I don't know. You said it at the end of last show that I was coming. So is there any excuse?
No excuses. Play like a champion.
I like that. I like that. You're 100% right. And we're almost at 2 hours,
What
gentlemen.
else is in the
That's it.
chat? That's it.
What else is in the chat? Yeah, that's what we got in the chat so far. We got some emojis. We got some love. We got some Twiz apologizing. Y'all don't have no snow crab freezer next to your regular freezer? Nah, bro. We don't all have that. Have that going on, brother. Maybe with the amount that you're working and the reason that you're not actually producing the podcast allows you to have that extra freezer, but we don't have that. Berto's flipping through his book of sonnets, looking for something there. What do you got? A little haiku you're going to read for us? What do you got?
No, I just quotes from what I read and questions about that I had, but I don't want to. It was just going to drag us back into deep waters. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, man. That's your call, brother.
Yeah, you can. I'll give you the less than one sentence answer.
There you go. He's going to condense it down. Chat
No.
GPT.
Yes.
Chat GPT, condense that answer. Please refine.
Give me something you really want to know.
That's it.
This isn't something that I really want to know. It's something that I wrote down at the time while I was reading, and it's a quote to you that's from you, and it said you stopped building restaurants and you started building people. And
I like that.
And this was around where you were talking about I believe it was your wife that recommended buying the dog or jumping into the doghouse, whether
Yep.
it was like acquiring the doghouse. It was from where you recently had a separation from an employer.
No, I sold the consulting.
Oh, you sold the business, and then she was the one that recommended the doghouse, and it looked like that was kind of where that that shift change happened in your mind, where you started to actually like execute that theory. Like I'm sure that it came throughout your career, but that's when you began to execute the building people over building businesses.
Yeah, listen. I don't want my career to be known for like making hot dogs, right? I work in some pretty killer places, but I thought my wife and I made the deal that we'd have like a legacy business. Mm-hmm. Like we would work with young people and teach them how to work and teach them the things that most employers aren't teaching them, and kind of build that culture and just see, I mean, how bad could it be, right? And it ended up being like unbelievable. But that was the deal. That's why we did it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
I remember when you took us there.
Yeah.
Dude,
Couple of cousins, right?
Yeah.
We had lunch there.
Yep. He was like, listen, we're going to go somewhere. We stopped. I think we had something to eat on the way. And then he was like, I want to take you guys somewhere. I want to show you something. He takes us to this place that's just this building. It's a very small building. It was closed at the time. We're like, what the hell?
No. We ate.
The first time
Yes.
we ate. That's right. And you didn't tell us yet that you were buying it.
No. I did in the parking lot. We walked to the car.
On the way out. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And on the way out, he's like, well, what'd you think? And we're like, that
the
split
signed
dog was
contract in
good.
my hand, yeah.
Split dog was good. I was like, it was a hot dog. And he's like, well, I bought this place. And we were like, what? And he's like, I bought this place. Guy changed the menu, expanded it, made this whole different area outside, put roof on it,
Rebranded it. We got crazy.
rebranded it, sale. What do they call them things?
Yeah, sales.
Sales
We just
up.
covered the area. We did so much work, and
So much, man. And blew that place up, live music and stuff, and just changed the entire game. I watched, how many summers was 7?
7.
7 summers.
7 years.
I watched that thing. 7 years I watched that thing progress. And
last not this summer, the summer, you were there.
yeah,
You were at all the locations, but you were.
yeah. You know,
Additionally, I have something else written down here, and this
This
is
question, Your Honor.
I have here that this is just a statement from the book, but it's I know what the question is in my mind. I wrote it down, but I know what it's going to bring me to, right? And it brings me to, I'm curious, what were some of the eye-opening moments when you went from working within the restaurant industry? Because if I'm remembering the workflow appropriately, it was the restaurant business, and then you went to work in the meat industry or
Yep.
pork industry, and then from there you started consulting, correct?
Yep, correct.
So prior to consulting, in between the restaurant and consulting, what were some of the eye-opening moments when kind of, you know, going from being the client on the end up buying meat to kind of being where the meat is produced, or you know?
It was like the Wizard of Oz moment of meeting the wizard. And
Yeah.
you got to see behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of, you know, not to go down the rabbit hole of like, you know, people coming in this country or whatever, but the amount of people that it requires to work in a slaughterhouse to support the consumption of just the American market is mind-boggling. I'm not including like the exporting and stuff like that. There is some of that too, but it was like literally Willy Wonka. I mean, people like, here's a great example, right?
Before, I don't want you to interrupt
No,
you,
yeah, go
but
ahead.
prior to giving an example, could you mind prefacing the transition from, you know, working in the restaurant business to go? Because I feel like I kind of did a super high level, and I want them to be able to intake what you're saying. So you went from working in the
Yes,
restaurant.
I was at a restaurant, then I was at a resort, and I was the executive chef for a resort. Mm-hmm. And then the manufacturing world kind of wooed me in the sense that you wouldn't have to work holidays and, you know, the stuff that you have to do when you're in food service.
Yeah.
And you know, it was like a 9 to 5. It was a corporate job, but they needed my expertise. So I was like, oh, great, I could wear a suit, but still be a chef. That's what I thought.
Okay.
In my head.
All right.
So I still had that skill set. You know, I could still operate at a very high level as far as flavor profiles and tastings and understanding retail offerings and things of that nature. What I didn't necessarily know, and I was consuming from a knowledge standpoint, is exactly how these things are produced and what it requires to produce them. And like learning about the machinery and the throughput. Throughput was a new word for me. You know, added value products was a new word for me. You know, sitting through blind tastings and then meeting with manufacturers of ingredients or starches or starch systems, you know, all these different techniques were still amazing to me to learn. But then at some point, I stopped being the culinary guy and I was just a corporate guy. And that's not really what I wanted to do. And so I definitely have like a pedigree of helping ridiculous brands grow or supporting really big brands in products made, but that also requires a knowledge of a manufacturing side that would probably upset the consumer, you know? So making those products, while it was super interesting and learning all those things, that wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do with my career.
And within the book, you talk about some of those moments that gave you that realization, right? And I won't give it away. They'll have to go and read it themselves.
Sure.
But within the book, you illustrate some of those, you know, things that you've seen that kind of made that switch or kind of realization in your mind that this isn't really.
And it was, you know, it was disconcerting because, you know, people don't, you know, there's an old saying that every time a product gets touched, it goes up in price. So from like the actual growth of, let's say, a protein to the end consumer, it goes through so many hands, right? And each time it goes through those hands, it goes up in price. But it's a disconnect from the person who's doing the work to the consumer who's buying it, right? So like for example, a throughput in an 8-hour shift could be anywhere just for one, let's say, pick any protein, just pick a product.
Yeah, so
that you buy.
beef. Yeah.
Pick it, like a specific one.
Oh, like a specific cut?
Yeah.
Like fillets.
Like fillets. Okay, so you typically like a center cut fillet, right?
Yeah, I just said fillets because my wife accidentally bought fillets the other day when she was supposed to buy sirloins, and I was like, damn, these sirloins got expensive. And I was like, wait a second, these are sirloins? These are fillets. That's why it's in my
Nice.
head.
But if you were to buy fillets, you want the center cut, you want the round joint, you want the
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I thought that was the only,
let's look at this, right? Let's say you want a pristine portion of the fillet. You don't want a vein going through it. You don't want what's called the head or the tail where it tapers.
Yeah, where it
right.
tapers
You
down.
want most of the middle.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like 2.5 pounds. There's only 2 of them on a cow, so it's 5 pounds. Right. So if you want 8-ounce one, 2.5, right? It's 16 ounces to the pound. How many is that? That's right, 5. So there's only 5 pieces in one. Think about how many people in America and restaurants are buying 8-ounce fillets.
Not that many of them.
No, a lot of them.
I'm saying there's not enough fillets. is
Oh,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Exactly. So it's going to get either contract pricing or it's going to go to a very big retailer that has multiple locations, so they know that they're guaranteed to sell those when they slaughter that animal. So they get it first, and then everything else trickles down.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm not talking about grades. I'm not talking about prime choice. No, I'm just talking about a straight up animal and what there is available.
Yeah.
Most people are like, oh, we should have grass-fed beef. Literally, we couldn't support 2 states in America with grass-fed beef if it was grass-fed in America. There's not enough grasslands.
Whoa.
Let's go back to the fillet amount. How many
Yeah.
fillets would you need? How many cows is that?
Yeah. People are gonna have to start switching up the chuck real quick.
Yeah, I mean, the largest importer of beef right now is from Brazil, right? JMS is the biggest exporter of beef into America because they have the ability to support that volume.
They were in the news this week.
Yeah, they're in news all the time. But if you look at it from a product standpoint, when you buy it, right? Like we all know that those giant chicken breasts don't come off a real chicken. They come off a real chicken, but those chickens are not walking around.
No, I've owned chickens. I grew up with
Same.
chickens in the backyard. They never looked like that.
Never.
And we ate our chickens. If the chicken started eating her own eggs, my grandmother real quick.
Yep.
And guess what? It never looked.
Never.
The breast on some of these chickens,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
When you take the feathers off it, you're like, wait, that was the same chicken?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
looks
start
like
throwing
a-
dollar bills at that thing.
So people are disconnected. They're disconnected from. That was the one great thing about working in Europe, right? Very serious about their craft, right? You got chicken from the chicken guy. You got pork from the pork guy who came walking in with a half a pig and dropped it on the table. You had to butcher that thing. There was no Cisco trucks there. The mushrooms came from the mushroom guy. You know what I mean? You like that's how all day there were vans backing up.
Yeah, we don't have those guys here in America.
Correct.
Because major companies will just take over those regular guys. They could do it for cheaper.
Cheaper. That's the key.
Yeah, they could. But that's goes back to what we were saying before, right? This goes back to where you were saying that's the CEO's job, right?
Yep.
That guy,
Shareholder value.
He has to make sure that he gets the most value, makes the most money, turns the biggest profit. And how do you do that? Unfortunately, it's by dealing with these large companies who can afford to give you that price. It's the same reason why we buy stuff on Amazon.
Totally.
Although we know
Boxes
it
keep
isn't
coming.
good for,
Boxes keep coming.
but you and I both know, right? We know it kills the mom and pops. Same thing
Totally.
with, it's not just Amazon. Walmart's responsible for it. All these major, you look at places like Whole Foods, so on and so forth. They're all responsible for. When you and I grew up, we went to the supermarket. I remember I grew up around the block from a supermarket. I knew the guy that owned the place. He was there every single day. When my grandmother would go send me over there, and she would send me over there for cilantro, and I was holding all these different green things over there, I could just go up to the owner and be like, hey, which one of these is cilantro? And he would be able to say, that's the one. I knew the guy that owned it. It was a family-owned place, blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that doesn't really exist. Now I go to Costco.
Right.
Where I don't know who owns it. Now I order my stuff from
Costco.
Amazon. Yeah. So, who the guy, L guy is over there. So, it's easiest for us. It's easiest for them. And it kind of just, puts us into this never-ending circle of these larger companies would be the ones that succeed and all the little guys will eventually dwindle away.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that there is an elasticity in the amount that the consumer will pay. So if you're like, hey, I want that chicken breast, and it's twice as much and half the size, it's hard for them to get their head wrapped around what we've grown up on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's difficult.
Yeah, no, that's 1,000% correct. If you give them what they believe that they want, which is like the chicken that I had in my backyard,
Yep.
it's not enough.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to consume that whole chicken.
It's like I had this client that once said, is there any way you can make the pork tenderloin bigger? It was such a ridiculous question by that department in this particular company that I had to ship a half of pig, had all the parts removed and then placed back, called it a pig puzzle, to show them that this tenderloin comes off a 285-pound pig and that's their slaughter weight. And we can't make that any bigger. What you're asking is against physics.
Yeah.
Like you want this a pound heavier for your particular whatever. It would have to be like twice the size. Not possible.
Yeah, an extra pound on that specific cut would result in like an extra 100 pounds on the overall
Well,
pig,
even
right?
more. It's not even like physically possible. And so then when they saw it, like, oh, I didn't know that comes from there. I didn't know that comes from there. You have no idea when they see it.
Yeah, people don't know. One time me and Justin did a shoot where the guy asked us to shave him in post. He was like, he came in all stubbly. He was like, well, you guys could just shave me in post, right?
It was a video. The guy was like, the girl was like, you didn't shave. And he's like, that's all right. They can like take it off in the editing. I was like, you want me to shave you in
motion? The
editing of video? You think I did Transformers?
Yeah.
You think I edited the last Iron Man? I'm like, you want me to just change your whole face in post? You want CGI on this commercial?
We're going to need a change order. The quote just went up.
Yeah, I'm like, what? The quote went up. We need to hire staff. I need more equipment. I need a different computer.
Right.
Like, what do you think's gonna happen here?
Everything different.
We need 10 grand in software. I need a different camera. Like, what do you think's gonna happen?
How do you think we get the buns so consistent across Five Guys across America? Like, they can't bake their own buns in Denver and get the same product they get in Florida.
Yeah.
Right? It goes against physics.
Yeah, it's
right?
not the same.
Sea level changes everything. So they have to go to a company that makes millions of buns and ship them across America. That's just how it is.
But I tell you one thing, it's a satisfying feeling knowing that when I go to Five Guys in West Virginia, it's going to taste like the Five Guys that I had down the street.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the goal, right?
Yep. Consistency.
Yeah. So I will say it does differ when you get to other countries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to get the same Big Mac in Israel that you get here.
Dude, the whole menu
Well,
is
they also
different.
have products that ingredients they are illegal in the country.
Yeah. Dude, well, every time I go to another country, I always try their fast food just to see the differences in the menu. Dude, crazy differences. I remember we got to 2 years ago, I was in Italy, and my wife wanted to take a nap. We got the long flight, whatever. She wanted to sleep. I wasn't going to sleep. I got on one of those Lime scooters, and I hit the streets. And what did I do? What any American would do. I went to KFC. No. It wasn't
Italy.
It wasn't a KFC. It was a Burger King. But the reason why I said it was KFC, because, dude, they got chicken wings in their Burger King.
Yeah.
Crazy. I was mind blown.
Yeah, that's what blew your mind in Italy. I know, man. It's the little things.
The carbonara was all right, too.
You know, the carb, there was no peas in it.
Not a single pea. Not a pea in sight. No. That's the way it should be made.
That's right.
Anything else
Don't put cream in your eggs when you're making scrambled eggs, please.
Yeah, don't do that.
The milk that people put in?
Don't do that.
No, I don't do that, but people put milk and orange juice. I don't know what the orange juice was for.
Orange juice in the eggs?
I swear to God, I've seen people do milk and orange juice and scrambled eggs.
Didn't we drink that as kids? Didn't our grandmother make that milk and orange juice?
Yeah, it's called morisonando.
Yeah, morisonando is what it's called. That's right.
Yeah,
that is what it's called.
Dude, I love that shit.
I agree.
Orange juice, milk.
I know it sounds crazy, but
No, and you
It's
gotta
a
put
creamsicle.
What's that like condensed? What's that thick milk? It's not condensed. I don't know what it is.
Bro, it's condensed
condensed
milk.
milk?
It's there's nothing milk about it. I don't know why they even call it that.
It's
I put it in
delicious.
coquito, bro.
They put,
It's
and you
not
throw
milk.
more sugar in it, right? Because
Yep.
the sugar that's in the orange juice, not enough.
Yeah.
We need more sugar in it. Vanilla extract, which is just some science shit, right? That they just make. Because I don't think that's really concentrated vanilla
it is
that
not.
we're buying.
Not when it's called extract.
Yeah.
No.
That is.
You can't do this to a vanilla bean.
Yeah.
No, you can't. The vanilla bean does
Don't
not
get
have
me
nipples.
started on like oat milk, and I'll go off on that.
Oh, that's a huge thing now. Everybody loves the oat milk.
It's water.
Yeah, it's water. It's water just like almond
Literally.
milk is water.
Yes.
Almond milk is water. It's just water with mashed up almonds, and then they just put it in a cheesecloth.
Is half and half still
Sort of.
safe?
Half and half is milk
I'll
and
tell
cream.
you this, and if I know my wife's going to watch this up tomorrow because she's going to love that I'm going to say this. Go to the supermarket and look for heavy cream that doesn't have any gums in it, that just has heavy cream. I challenge everyone on the Discord too.
Is that what makes it so thick?
Wait, can you say that again?
Go to any supermarket.
Any supermarket.
And buy any of their branded heavy creams. Turn it around, look at the ingredients, and tell me it doesn't have gum added to it. It'll say heavy cream and gellum gum.
Ew.
They're like, it's like a thickening agent, right?
Yeah.
But heavy cream's supposed to be thick. Like already, like, so why are they thickening it? Huh.
It's
Man.
so hard to find heavy cream with just heavy cream.
Yeah, and if you get it from, I used to purchase from this Amish farm in Pennsylvania, and they come down to Long Island once a week. And
We can't find it.
I would specifically get their dairy products and their eggs.
I would say look at half and half to answer your question. Like, does
I
it say
wonder,
milk and cream and that's it?
I wonder, because their stuff is supposed to be like as organic as it comes.
Yeah.
You know, like when you buy their eggs, it says like lay date like yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
It could be a fugazi. This thing could not even be coming from Pennsylvania.
Totally.
And to be completely honest, me and some of my friends that I've introduced to this thing are convinced that these people ain't even Amish. He says he's seen one of them with a cell phone. I'm not going to get down this situation. I've since stopped purchasing from these people because they've been inconsistent in their deliveries. They'll just tell you the same day, hey, we're not coming out. And then I just won't have eggs. And
Right.
and my wife was like, all right, the little bit of responsibility I gave you when it came to grocery shopping, I'm not taking it away. I'll be purchasing the eggs and dairy products now.
So you do know, like, the ingredient decks typically range from the most to the least, right? You do know that. Any ingredient deck.
No, I didn't know that.
Like the list of ingredients on
Yeah,
it.
it ranged from like the highest
To the lowest.
The largest amount of that product to the lowest amount.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you formulate to get approved by USDA for a label, you have to put all the percentage formulas, the total weight percentage that each ingredient equals in the total. And then it has to be listed. First being whatever the most is, and last being whatever the least is. And usually last, in some instances, are like spices, which is less than 1% of the total. It can be whatever you want.
Yeah.
But
The beginning is always sugar or high fructose corn
well,
syrup.
whatever. If in answer to your organic question, like if you look at, let's say, an organic vegetable blend, organic soup, and you look at the ingredient deck, and every single ingredient says organic broccoli, organic chicken broth, then it's legit organic. Because that means they went and purchased those organic items.
Yeah.
And the reason why they did it, and they charge you more, is to have the right to write that on the ingredient deck.
So each product individually has to be organic. So that organic soup, I think I'm getting from Whole Foods, which I thought they made that in the back.
In the quart containers?
Yeah.
No, man, that comes in 5-pound bags. I know because I used to be my client.
Well, guess what? When it came in those quart containers, I was like, oh, there's a little lady back there ladling these 5 quart. Dude, it looks like the Chinese food wonton things.
no.
You would think that there's a woman back there ladling these puppies up.
But read the ingredient deck and just...
Well,
If she was doing that, then the first 3 items would be food products.
Yeah, not whatever it is that's on there. I figured it out when one day they didn't have any more chicken noodle. And then the lady came out. It was like the Wizard of Oz situation with a box.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's funny. She's coming out with a box. What's in that box? It's not a little Italian lady in there whipping up soups. And she opened it. And it's just stacks of these 5 quart
Chicken noodle
containers.
Yeah, look at that. It's like that Amish guy who thinks delivering eggs, and when he pulls up, he puts the beard on and puts his hat on.
First of all,
I
he's
gotta
like,
call you back.
And turns down the DMX.
Yeah.
He's like, when my dog's ate. He's like, what? He's like, we're Amish.
yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
I gotta put this. He's like, here's this guy. He's like, hey, friend, here's your milk. No,
I'm
brother.
sure there are tons of people like, I knew that there was something that he said that's true.
That's right.
I knew it. And you're right. Like, you're totally right.
Here it is. I'm right.
Hey,
It's not all.
You win some, you lose some, you know?
True story.
That's what they say.
Did we blow up the Discord? Eek.
Dude, we're back. We're 2 hours and 15 minutes in.
All right. That's it.
Let's do it. Are we wrapping right here?
Pull us out of here, Justin.
Wrapping right here.
You leave it up to me.
Listen. Thank you so much,
My pleasure.
Michael, for coming
No,
by
my pleasure,
and gracing us yet again with your presence. And I want everybody, you want to tell the people the name of the book and when it's coming out?
Where they
And
can find you on social media.
Yeah, 40 Degrees is the umbrella company that does it. In case you're wondering what the significance of that is, -40 is the 1 point between Fahrenheit and Celsius that both converge, the exact same point. So the reason why it's called that is it's a convergence of human culture and business.
deep.
Heat.
That name of the book is Managing the Wolves Leading from the Heart. It should be out in the next couple of days. We do have the .com for that, so once it's live, you'll be able to order from there. You can find it on Instagram, 40, the number 40 written out _degrees because 40 degrees was taken. And I'm on LinkedIn. So We also have a podcast coming out called In the Weeds. We have about 8 guests lined up, all different people in this business: Boston, Cape, New York, and we have other people. Well, some of them you'll know, you've seen them before. We're going to talk about the industry, culture, how it's changed, how to be successful, continuing. And we also are starting a non-for-profit foundation called In the Weeds, and it is for supporting mental health, people in hospitality business, emergency housing, and any kind of other particular ailments that we can help out with. That will also have its own website, and all those links will be available on Instagram.
Perfect. And all those links will be down in the description below. So we'll make sure to put all that in there so you can check Michael out, all his businesses, the book, all that great stuff. And when the book finally comes out, we will add that link to the description in this video after it goes live on our channel, which will be shortly after we come off tonight.
It'll be sitting somewhere on one of these shelves.
That's true. It will be somewhere behind me, somewhere behind Berto. It will probably...
I got a spot for it right next to one of my favorite books.
That's it. There will probably be multiple copies that will be back here. And so it's been a pleasure to have you again.
Man.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate
it. Make sure you guys check us out. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, any new viewers, any new listeners, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel on your way out. Make sure you hit that notification bell, because every time we go live or every time we post a video, we want you guys to know about it. We don't want you to miss a single one. Shout out to everybody new that watched, everybody that's a returning listener, and check us out on audio podcast platforms. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find your favorite podcast. And if you don't find us on there,
join the Discord. Join the Discord and harass us until we place the podcast on your obscure podcast listening platform. If we are already on your platform, join the Discord anyways. A lot of good stuff going on there. Feet pick section, topic recommendations.
Take me out of this.
A lot of stuff going on in the Discord, but you got to be there to see it. If you're not going to be in it, you can't win it. As my dad always said, you're not going to win the lottery unless you play it.
That's it. All it takes is a buck and a little bit of luck.
Hardware of sales.
Hardware of self. That's what we got. Thank you guys so much. And that's it.
Play the music for him, Justin. Da, da, da.